Tuesday, everybody, wherever you are, however you may be listening. Thanks for making us part of your day. It's another beautiful, hot, steamy, sticky day in Mesa, Arizona, where the temperature is expected to be somewhere around 110-ish degrees, and it's humid as shit, and a tree fell down outside, so I don't even know what happened. I did not sleep at my house last night, came home around 5 o'clock this morning, and a big-ass tree in front of my house fell down, so now I'm treeless. That's going to block some of the shade, and that's devastating. So if you guys could keep me in your thoughts and prayers, and RIP to the big tree. I don't know what kind of tree it is. It's one of the cum trees. I forget what they're called. If you're in Arizona, you know what I'm talking about. I forget what they're called. You got the hat right? Well done. Well done. One tree, we had tornadoes here, and we have a few. Okay, all right. Can I just have one? Can I have one fucking moment here? Yeah, just one moment. I can have just a tree fall down. You have to have a million. I don't remember what somebody look right now. Google. What was I doing? Don't worry about it. You all know what I was doing. My girlfriend lives an hour away, so so we see each other when we can see each other. And I could do it last night, but when I do go there, I have to wake up pretty early. Did anybody look it up though? Look up Arizona tree that smells like cum and stuff. No stuff. No, not even good. Not even. Well, that's sometimes people. We'll leave it. Never mind. There was no stuff. We'll just leave it at that. We had a good time. There were high emotions.
No stuff.
Yeah, she was hungry and irritable, and we had she had high emotions, and so I was just there to be supportive. You know. Did anybody find the name of the tree? It's a calorie pear tree. I don't think it's the calorie pear tree. All right, fuck, we'll look it up. Rug stuff. Now that's is the tree in Arizona that smells like semen. Is it the Bradford? They're saying Bradford pear tree, but I don't know.
That sounds familiar. And
it is a Bradford pear. Okay, yeah. Like? I think.
What does it look like?
Yeah, this is. Yeah, I'll show you guys. This is the tree. This actually looks like the exact tree. Let me move that over here. When this tree is in full bloom in Arizona, like I don't know how to explain this. My girlfriend asked me. She's like, I've never really like thought about the smell, but like for the men here, who experience puberty and that smell after a wet dream, it's exactly what that tree smells like.
For whatever reason in my head, we have those trees around here, and I don't know why I thought they were. In my head, I think they're like I've associated with them like cherry trees, and
I've never seen
they
pears.
Smell, so I hate those.
I've never seen pears on them. Called the calorie.
Yeah, they stink. I hate those trees.
They get big though. Pyrus caloriana. But I don't think they have pears. Why is it a pear tree? It's known for its offensive odor that some have described as akin to rotting fish. It's semen. Is that the right one? I feel like
I know that tree. I know that tree stinks. I don't know if that's the one tree you're talking about, but that one smells.
I'm looking on Facebook. It's like somebody said, "What's the tree that smells like semen?" Somebody said any sort of nut tree. That's a pretty good answer. I feel like that's not it. Maybe it is. Anybody else have the name of a tree? It is a hell of a start.
That tree, I do know it. Those trees are near where I live, and they smell so foul. That I don't know if I wouldn't necessarily associate it with semen, but
it's not like it doesn't smell like rotting. Like the rotting fish, that's not what it smells like to me. It's like a sweet, like sweaty. It's like a sweet sweat. I don't think it smells like rotting. For rotting fish I've smelled rotting fish. Anybody want to back me up on this?
Yeah, I've always like I said before, I always thought they were something like a cherry type tree. That's what I thought they were, but
It's a carob tree. Casey asked if my cum stinks. I don't know, Casey. Ask your dad. Boom. Oh yeah. That's in the Middle East. Can you grow a carob tree in Arizona? Well, somebody said it's a. Who said that? Mama Rara said it's a carob tree. CAROB. It does grow in Arizona. Oh yeah. There it is. It looks similar. Yeah, it kind of grows in the same way. Okay, this is the right tree. This is exactly. I wish we were on TikTok right now for.
We're not seeing it.
Well, I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to pull it up here.
Okay.
It's this tree. Did you see how it looks similar? And their branches kind of go everywhere.
That wasn't even close to the other tree that you showed the picture of.
Well, I was looking. It's about. I was looking at like how high the branches were. The other tree was smaller, but see how the branches go out like that. And this looked like Arizona. In fact, I'm almost certain I know where this exact picture was taken. This is a golf course, I believe. It is one of two golf courses. This is either Dobson Ranch or shit. I forget the name of the other place. It's where they play the Patriot tournament. I'm pretty sure this is Dobson Ranch in Mesa.
River made a good point on TikTok. If your semen smells like fish, you might need to see a doctor and get some antibiotics.
Yeah, that would be bad. That would be bad news. I don't think you want it to smell like fish. Shuck It shot a 76. What'd you shoot on the back nine, Shuck It? Ayo! Boom, roasted. That's a great golf joke for any of you who don't know golf. That's a great golf joke. 76 is a good 18-hole score. I said he shot it on the front nine. Jen?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
All right. Did anybody laugh?
You're just kind of rambling.
Did anybody laugh at that?
I don't know.
All right. What's new with you? You keeping the baby or what?
Dude. We've been over this.
Oh shit.
No.
My bad. Hey,
no.
Talk to the people for a second. I left my drink sitting across the room. I'll be right back. I'm so sorry.
So fucking obnoxious.
Spawn, I was joking. Spawn, I was joking.
Well, I don't know. She's fine. No, she knows I'm very pro-choice. Her and I've discussed this before. Go get your drink.
Spawn, if you're here, I'm
asshole.
joking. You're the only daughter that she needs.
Go get your drink. Yeah, that was fun. There was one day that Spawn does have TikTok, but she has been instructed not to comment in the live, so she's listened here and there. So one day when I saw Duke and I had our slumber party, she didn't know necessarily, so she heard about it on the show and she wasn't very happy.
Sorry, Spawn. Love you. And Duke of Earl, if you're listening, good to see you.
Duke of Earl.
Duke of Earl. Who's singing Duke of Earl? Remember that? No? Let me grow up on that.
No.
Brian, you worked at Moon Valley. I love Moon Valley. It's a great country club.
Well, this is starting at random, and so we're in for a treat today.
I'm just doing color commentary today. Why don't you take the reins today? Why don't you do it? I'll just interrupt and say shit. Want to do that? You want to take you've got the outline. You want to give it a shot?
No, because I haven't read enough of it. So
ever?
No, I mean I scan over it when I'm doing stuff, but I don't dive in deep to any of it. So
you see it. Do you think anybody could take my outline and put a show together? Do you think they'd have any fucking clue? I showed my girlfriend asked me to what my outline looks like, and I showed it to her yesterday. I was like, what is this? This doesn't make any sense. I was like, I know.
I mean, it makes sense. It's funny, the words, what you put as the title for things. It's like, what is this shit?
Yeah. Yesterday, the first thing on the outline yesterday was, what the goddamn fuck is this? that was all I put.
Yeah.
Did you see we got in trouble for that? On Spotify for playing that video?
Oh yeah, we got yeah. Oh, I don't know if you saw this on Discord. We had our 3-year Discord anniversary.
Oh shit, we've had Discord for 3 years?
You and I. Sir.
Oh, you and I. Friendship.
Yeah. Friendship anniversary.
How long have you been the head mod? About that long?
I don't know. Probably.
All right. Well, happy anniversary, Jen. I
Probably.
still have that gift I got for
Yeah.
you in the back of my car.
It'll.
I saw it this
I do
morning. I
the
was
same.
like, fuck. Yeah, it's still sitting there. We'll call it an anniversary
Yeah.
gift when it gets there
There
someday.
you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Do your thing.
Well, we can get going on the show since we're about that time. So welcome everybody. We're in for a treat today. It sounds like. So we've got a gift goal that we need to hit each day. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Super Chats all go towards knocking out that gift goal. This is our job. So how we can keep the lights on and keep doing this is by hitting that goal each day. So if we could knock that out sooner rather than later, that would be great. If you haven't already subscribed to us wherever you're watching, you should do that because we do members only events. And
And
if
Jen
you're a
brings
paid
her
member
boyfriend.
on that was one time.
1 for 1. As long as you've had a boyfriend,
one.
you've brought him. It's 1 out. It's 1 for 1.
Well, in fairness, I think this is the first man friend that I've had. Well, it is the first man friend. We haven't. I don't know. Is that a thing when you're an adult? Do you have like?
I don't know.
Do you announce? How do you do this shit?
See?
It's weird.
It's weird when you're old. You don't want to say like boyfriend or girlfriend because it feels like, it just doesn't feel right. Yeah, I'm happy to be in this with you together. I don't ever know how to say it. Man friend is good.
Yeah. I mean, we both agreed that
I like saying partner, but then everybody assumes like that you're gay, which is fine.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
But then you got to explain that.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I don't use partner. I mean, man friend, guy friend, boyfriend. Not guy friend because that could be a Jay is my guy friend, but not that kind of guy friend.
Guys,
but anyways,
did you hear that?
I said you're my guy friend.
Did you hear her call me a friend? Thank you.
I never denied that we were friends.
You've just never said it out loud. I love this. This is a good day for us. Happy anniversary, Jen.
All right. Happy anniversary, Jay. You're being really weird today.
All right, my bad.
Anyways, like I said, we have members only events. So if you're a paid member or subscriber, wherever you're watching, you can join us for those members only events. We have one coming up next Wednesday. So you should subscribe before then so you can join us for that. If you guys disagree with our TV and like to come up and have a conversation, you can do that by sending me a message on Discord. My Discord username is the same as Venmo. So Jen with 2 N's, Deb with 2 B's, the number 1. And I can bring you on to have a conversation. Check out the link tree in the bio. We're on most social media platforms. We've got merch. Jay's on Cameo. We upload these episodes to Spotify when Spotify doesn't take down the episode. And yeah, what do you call a cow with no legs?
Immovable.
Ground beef.
All right, both good though. How did you like immovable? Just grumbles.
It's okay.
Hey, before you leave, Julia said try dating an NB. We don't have terms. Do you know? I don't know what that means. Do you know what that means? ENBY? All right.
Is that a location or a place? I don't know what that is.
Try dating an NB. NB. Non-binary. How is NB non-binary? ENBY? Oh, okay, they spelled it like N, the letter N and B, but they spelled it ENBY. Okay. Thank you. So you just don't know terms? What do you say? Yeah, this is my, and then you just leave it blank?
Well, I mean, partner would work probably, right?
I don't know. I'm asking them. I don't know the answer to that question. It's Wemby.
Well, we learn something new every day.
Yeah. Did you see the YouTube chat?
Which one?
Just look through. That's weird. I'll message you.
All right.
All right, let's get started. Sorry, everybody.
All right.
Let me write this real quick. Let's get things kicked off. I don't remember. We're not starting with what the goddamn fuck is this. Let's start with the story from Democracy Docket. Not even a video to start things off today. I don't have Harry Enton for you. I don't have any weird shit for you. We're just going to jump right into the news. Big fan of Democracy Docket. If you don't follow Democracy Docket, you can. democracydocket.com. This was Junior Rivas here. Title of this article is Trump DOJ said some states cooperated with voter roll grab by providing public information. It sued other states for doing the same. You might be surprised to know that Donald Trump and this Department of Justice doesn't seem to have a system for getting the voter rolls, and they don't seem to care about using voter rolls from states that they think that they're going to win. They don't care by like, or they don't care about having like the same standards for voter rolls in the states that they're in. Let's go down here. Did I not highlight this? Son of a bitch. The highlights went away. Since last September, the DOJ has sued 30 states and DC as part of a nationwide crusade to obtain state voter rolls. It said the lawsuits are needed when a state won't willingly hand over rolls so that the DOJ can assess compliance with federal voting law. You've seen them threaten states over and over and over again, but records reviewed by Democracy Docket reveal no consistent standard used by DOJ for deciding which states have met the department's demands and which should be sued. Publicly available voter registration lists appear to be enough for Kansas and Montana to avoid litigation and even be labeled as cooperating. The same kind of publicly available list was insufficient in Oregon, Minnesota, Colorado, Pennsylvania, Michigan, Utah, Idaho, and other states. In those places, the department demanded unredacted voter lists containing sensitive voter information and sued after states refused to surrender them. The pattern undercuts the DOJ's claims both in court and in public statements to be engaged in a uniform federal enforcement effort. It has led the department to make misleading and sometimes outright false public statements seemingly aimed at obscuring the double standard. And it casts doubt on DOJ's frequent assertions to courts in multiple cases that it needs the unredacted records to ensure compliance with federal voting law. On Friday, in a filing in its ongoing lawsuit over Colorado's rolls, DOJ offered a clear rationale for why it believes publicly available lists aren't sufficient, at least for some states. It acknowledged that Colorado had last year offered its public list, but it said it needs the non-public portions of the voter registration list, such as voter, driver's license number, or social security number, to ensure that a voter is not, for instance, deceased. Or they're fishing. All right. Both Kansas and Montana did allow the administration to run their voter rolls through the flawed SAVE database run by the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services. But that does not seem to explain the difference either. Georgia and Idaho also touted their extensive use of SAVE in response to the DOJ. They were sued anyways. What's clear is that while the DOJ says its lawsuits are necessary to conduct the same independent review nationwide, its own choices suggest otherwise. For some states, a public list was not enough. For others, the same records became the basis for federal law. So, just one more example of, and I still don't really know exactly what the fuck they're doing with these voter rolls. My guess is that they're getting these voter rolls so that they can cast aspersions after the election, so they can tie things up in litigation, so that they can not seat Democrats. Like that's my best guess. My best guess on all of this is that they're going to try and figure out some way to not seat Democrats that win in the midterms. And with the Supreme Court that we have, they may be able to say, look, our voting rolls and their voting rolls don't match. Our voter rolls say there's not even that many voters. Theirs say that there are. We've purged them. They haven't. We can't certify these results. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, to Dallas. I don't know anything. Like, I don't know any other reason why they would do this. I can't. Is there anybody here that can make a guess, like, why they need the voter rolls? MAGA, are you guys here? Is there a reason they need the voter rolls? They can remove you before the election at the federal level. Yeah, but that doesn't remove you from the state voter rolls. Steal the vote. I don't know. That's the best I can come up with. They're going to round us up and put us in camps. I mean, they already have that information, right? Like, that doesn't make sense. I'm not saying that they wouldn't do it. They might. It's not like the federal government doesn't have all this information on you or can't get it other ways. There's a specific reason they want these voter rolls. Just an additional layer of doubt. That's kind of where I'm at, Storm Rider. They don't want illegals voting in midterms? No. Arthur. Is that Arthur? Is that Arturo? No, dude, because they wouldn't have different standards for different people or for different states, right? If that's what it was about. I mean, I think it's cute that you think that. I think it's cute that, like, you're still buying that shit. They're just trying to track down fraud, and voter rolls should be public knowledge regardless. They are public. That's how China got the voter rolls. Like you can get the voter rolls. You just can't get all the sensitive information with it. Don't overthink it. For once in your life, Arthur, overthink something. Think past what you've been told. Because again, like you don't need the voter rolls to do this. The states already purged this. You can just go audit the state later. You don't need the voter rolls. Democrats support everything that God condemns. Cool. What things do we support that God condemns? So I think you're just going to talk about who people have sex with. They can't even plain old think. You think they could overthink? That's a good point. I didn't think about that. All right. I want to remind you of this. This was a couple weeks ago. This was Chris Wright, Energy Secretary, lashing out at Representative Amo. He curses. I hate this clip for Representative Amo because like it feels a little tattletale. Like, you're going to let him say shit? Let people swear. I wish we could swear more in Congress. I wish we weren't governing each other's speech. But Chris Wright got really upset at this line of questioning, specifically about canceling grants for clean energy, which the Trump administration absolutely is doing as they continue to do the bidding of big oil. And this is going to turn out to be a lie.
DOE over their partisan award terminations. And in the litigation, you said, quote, a primary reason for the selection of which DOE grant termination decisions were included in the October 2025 notice tranche was whether the grantee was located in a blue state. That is a direct quote. I ask unanimous consent to enter this document into the record.
So ordered.
The court rightfully found that you violated the Constitution. The only meaningful
What does the Z in Nazi stand for? Socialist.
Difference between the 7 projects that won in court and the hundreds of others you terminated is that those plaintiffs sued. So, Secretary Wright, my question is simple. When will you restore the funding for all the projects that were wrongfully terminated?
Good question. Blucci said it's hot and sticky in AZ because of you and my dad. Thank you. Cookie said, in here, Bradford pears are a dime a dozen. They're called cum trees in these parts. Golf joke was great, but shuck it with a cactus.
So, number one, you even read the document or misinterpreted the document. We did not involve politics in the decision-making of our review process.
All right, that's the important part to remember. They did not involve politics in the review process. Representative Amo says, it looks like the report says you did. Energy Secretary Wright says did not.
Hands down.
Explain 95%, Secretary.
Did not. You also were creative. You talked about 2 different 95%. We did not involve politics in the decisions. What
about the outcomes,
the
Mr.
court
Secretary?
ruling you read was a choice of announcements of some of the awards. The choice of the announcements, not made by our department. No decisions were made on politics. I keep hearing that charge. So it's bullshit. We're going to say it a million times.
Mr. Secretary,
it's not true.
I've got a point of parliamentary procedure. Are we permitting language like that from witnesses?
I wish we would. Let's let everybody swear. Thumbs up if you think people should be able to swear in Congress, in congressional hearings. Thumbs down if you disagree.
Watch your language, Mr. Secretary, but let's keep this.
Will do, sir.
Please.
Mr. Secretary, here's the problem with your administration. You're willing to huff and puff when it comes to showing up in front of Congress when your audience of one is paying attention. But the fact of the matter is, my constituents and the constituents of people across this Congress are struggling because of your decisions, and yet you want to use language like that, act out of hand, behave poorly, so you can prove that you have loyalty to the president. That's not how this works. Do your job. Do your job and work to lower costs for the American people.
The ayes have it on cursing being allowed in Congress. Well done.
Instead, you want to pick at statistics instead of working for people in every single state.
What about the kids watching? If your kids are watching congressional hearings, you have bigger problems. Tell them to go outside. Also, it's fine. Kids can hear curse words.
Whether it's a blue state or a red state. So my question for you, as my time is rapidly expiring, when will you restore these grants?
We work every day we've gone overboard for New England, for California, for blue states.
That's not an answer. I'm reclaiming my time.
Your assertions
Mr. Secretary,
are incorrect.
I'm reclaiming my time. That's not an answer. Do you believe the federal grant decision should be based in any way on how a state's voters cast their ballots in a presidential election?
They shouldn't, and they weren't.
Mr. Secretary, this hearing started with Trump's promise to lower energy costs. Instead, you bloviated.
All right, let's see if he was telling the truth or not. Again, back to democracy. Docket Energy Department admits canceling federal clean energy grants in blue states. Oh, this one stayed. The federal clean energy grants were canceled for similar reasons. According to the court document in September 2025, the Department of Energy sent a list of more than 2,200 clean energy grants issued under Biden to the Office of Management and Budget. That is dipshit Project 2025. Of that batch, the Department of Energy identified 624 that it recommended for termination. The Department of Energy moved forward with the termination of 284 of those grants as authorized by the OMB, which it announced October 2025. The sole criterion for selecting those terminated grants was political, according to the court stipulation or agreement between the scientists and the Department of Energy on certain facts to avoid further discovery in the lawsuit. With one exception, the 284 terminated grants had a recipient location and or at least one place of performance in a state that awarded its electoral votes to Kamala Harris in the 2024 election and has 2 Democratic caucusing senators, reads the document. The remaining approximately 340 grants proposed for termination were not terminated in October 2025, and they have not been since terminated. All such grants had a recipient location and or at least one place or performance in a state that awarded its electoral votes to Trump in the 2024 election or has at least one Republican caucusing senator. In case there was any doubt about the partisan nature of the grant cancellations, the stipulation makes it clear, and this is a direct quote. The Department of Energy accepts that the inclusion of grants in the October notice tranche was based solely on the political identity of the grant recipient state, i.e., whether the recipient's location and or place of performance was in a blue state or a non-blue state. The Department of Energy will not contend that it looked beyond the prime grantees to consider the political identity or geographic distribution of downstream beneficiaries of the grant funds. DOE officials also admitted in the document that the terminations were not based on any programmatic, statutory, cost reduction, or performance-based factor, even though the original reason stated for ending the grants was to cut costs. They admit it had nothing to do with programmatic, statutory, cost reduction, or performance-based factors. It simply was, if you voted for Trump, you get grants for clean energy. If you didn't, you don't. Which is why Texas, of all the states, produces more wind energy than anyone else, and they got the grants. On the top end, on any given day in Texas, 60% of your energy, any Texas folks here, 60% of your energy is renewable on any given day in Texas. They got plenty of grants, but they voted for Trump. It's not a real issue. They don't actually hate clean energy. They hate clean energy for Democrats, and they don't really want to promote clean energy because they're paid by the oil lobbyists. Texan here, congratulations. Solar worker here. Those grants help jobs in areas that need energy. Agreed. All right. Talking more about the lack of cuts, and we haven't played Rachel Maddow for a while. Cue the outrage and the MSDNC from the MAGA in the chat. We're, a year and a half removed from Doge now? Maybe a year removed from Doge, where they didn't do a goddamn thing. They literally just did nothing. They didn't cut hardly a thing. We just gave Elon Musk access, and his titty milk boys, we just gave him access to the entire infrastructure of the government, where they copied everything and put them on hard drives and then left without cutting any costs. Remember that? Remember that thing that they were going to do that they didn't do? Here's Rachel Maddow.
You know, you live long enough, you realize that there are some times when the bill comes due. You know, you've done things in the past, perhaps ill-advised things you kind of knew at the time weren't a good idea, and sometimes you are able to skate by for a little while. You get away with that stuff for
I'm sorry that you're so triggered by Rachel Maddow, Edwards. I think things will get better for you. I would perhaps maybe just take a moment to think, Why is it that this woman outrages me so much? Why do I find her disgusting? Is it because she reports about things you don't like?
A little while, but eventually you learn in this life that the bill comes due. We're having one of those times in the news right now. So, for example, when we as a country elected this president, he decided, in his infinite wisdom, that he would immediately allow his top campaign donor, Elon Musk, to cut whole swaths of U.S. government capacity based on nothing but Elon Musk's own say-so and his gut feeling.
Are you guys ready to admit he's a fucking dipshit yet, Elon Musk? Are we ready for that yet? Are we still pretending he's like brilliant?
So things that took down.
She discussed you because she told everybody the virus stopped with you when you take the jab. I don't know if she said that or not, but if that's what disgusts you, you got to get some more meaning in your life, you know? You need more stuff to care about.
Decades, if not generations, to build up. Some of these things, the gold standard government capacity for the whole world. President Donald Trump just said, hey, you're my top campaign donor. As far as I'm concerned, that gives you the right to
chainsaw. Like, if you saw this, if you didn't know any of these people, you'd be like, oh, this is obviously a movie. These are obviously characters in a movie meant to be more ridiculous than reality. Nope, that was real.
Sledgehammer the U.S. government to your heart's content. I don't care. You enjoy yourself. And that is how thousands of subject matter experts and, forest rangers.
Elon doesn't trigger me. I just don't like that we keep giving him money. I don't like that we waste so much money on Elon Musk, and I don't like what he did as part of the government. I legitimately didn't give a fuck about Elon until he started wasting all of our taxpayer money and started interfering in politics. Now I don't like him very much. But before that, I really didn't give a single solitary fuck about Elon.
And specialist lawyers and prosecutors and scientists. And
Elon's the guy I wish I could be. Translucent, a translucent psychopath. No, I don't. Elon's life sucks. Like, even for you guys that like Elon, you don't want Elon's life. Nobody wants Elon Musk's life. He's incredibly lonely. He can't go anywhere. He has no privacy. Like, you guys, I like my privacy. For somebody who makes their living online, there's very little that people know about me. I don't share my life. Like, nobody's ever seen my girlfriend. Most of you have never seen my daughter. Most of you don't know her name. Most of you don't know really anything about me. I'm a very private person. And when you get to that level of fame, you can't go anywhere and have any anonymity. I prefer the anonymity. And I think all of you would like anonymity too. So no, I don't want to be Elon. And I don't think anybody really wants to be Elon.
It's how all these people.
I drive a Tesla. I don't drive it. We've done this before. I drive a Kia.
Lost their jobs and their careers in the U.S. government.
You do know I
But
fucked
it's
a
also
rug,
how we as a country lost things like, say, a project that had been funded, that was shovel ready, expertly planned, much needed, ready to go, a project to build fire breaks in the Superior National Forest in Minnesota. Elon Musk and Donald Trump did not care enough or were not bright enough to understand what a project like that might conceivably be for, and so they ixnayed it. Even as
just spreading alien seed and trying to get back to Mars because his people won't come get him. Like, fuck, we're not coming back to get that motherfucker. Come on, guys, come get me. We're not coming. All right, I'm gonna get a spaceship and come to you. I hope he doesn't figure this out.
Trump blames wildfires anywhere on Earth on people not cleaning up the forest so there would be less to burn. Trump, in his wisdom, literally stopped funding last year for the shovel-ready project to build fire breaks in the Superior National Forest in Minnesota so there would be less to burn.
It's like 1 trillion on the list, but I hope history remembers Donald Trump's absolute brain-dead discussions on wildfire management. He knows one thing and one thing only, and it's rake the forest. And now here we have in Minnesota, they're trying to go through and do fire management and clear the underbrush, which is what he means by rake the forest. He just can you imagine Trump saying clear the underbrush? He didn't no fucking clue. And then he cuts the funding for that. And then when they have fires, he's gonna be like, they didn't rake the forest. There's national forest. If it's national forest, the state can't do a goddamn thing about it. Same thing in California. Every time there's a fire in the national forest in California, Trump's like, the state was not prepared. No, you weren't prepared. National forest. That word before forest matters.
So it would be easier to fight any fire.
That's a good point. Sorry, old dog crapper. Yeah, that's true. Just rake the forest then. We should all get our rakes and get out there and rake the fucking forest.
Did break out. He and Elon Musk stopped the funding of that project. And so now the bill has come due. The Superior National Forest in Minnesota, as we speak, is on fire. Thank you, Doge. Thank you, Donald Trump.
Thanks,
that was
guys.
the Washington Post reporters doing good work this weekend, tracing the line between those fires burning right now in Minnesota after Trump last year stopped the funding that would have made that forest less likely to burn. That is the bill coming due.
All right. Thanks, guy. Thanks, Elon. But at least we gave tax cuts to billionaires, right? At least we're cutting funding for SNAP recipients. At least we got that for us. Everything's going up. All the prices are going up. Can't afford houses anymore. But at least those billionaires got a tax cut. Now they can write off their yachts and their private jets. Isn't that great? That's what we want to blame Canada. That's right. Fuck you, Canada. Why are you starting all these fires in the United States? All right. I just liked this a lot. This was on the outline yesterday. We didn't get to it, but this is literally two. I'm going to do two kind of like petty things in a row. This is Daniel Dale just fact checking Trump. And then I'm going to have 6 minutes of John Ossoff destroying Pete Hegseth. You all might have seen this before. This is a text. I swear to God, this is a text I got from my Republican friend today. Where is it? There it is. Actually, I guess it came in last night. I saw it this morning. I think I'm falling for John Ossoff. He's got a real presidential look to him. So then I'm going to do 6 minutes of John Ossoff destroying Pete Hegseth. But my Republican friends really like John Ossoff a lot. That's a good sign for John Ossoff.
Remember that?
And by presidential look, I assume he means like he's a white dude. I'll have to ask him about that. But
that kind of rhetorical question, it seems to be one of President Trump's favorite phrases or questions to ask. Listen to him using it in a speech at the EPA last week.
And just like we did with the Green New scam, where we were scammed, the whole country was, I wasn't scammed. I got it right from the beginning. I got it from the first minute when I heard this crap, you know? They were saying wind was so wonderful, except you couldn't watch your television. They wanted to watch the debate. Donald Trump against Sleepy Joe Biden. Nobody could watch it because the wind wasn't blowing. Remember that?
No. Do you guys remember that? Do you remember all the people who couldn't watch the debates against Joe Biden because of the wind? The wind wasn't blowing? Yeah, I don't think that happened.
I would like to watch the debate tonight. I'm sorry, the wind isn't blowing.
But when the president asks if you remember, is he always referencing something that actually happened?
Thank you, Jamie. That is a good reminder to everyone that the Green New Deal never passed, and it was never close to passing. There is no Green New Deal. It was proposed legislation, and Republicans talk about it like it happened. It just never happened. All these things that Trump is like, all these things Trump's going after now, those existed in his first term too.
CNN's Daniel Dale is with us right now. Daniel, I mean, let's start with the Thursday speech then. What are the facts behind the president's claims?
You do know that he does joke around a lot, right, Goofball? Yeah, I do know that Trump jokes around a lot. It's hard to tell because he's not very funny sometimes. But the thing that I don't like, and I appreciate you saying that, is that what you all do is you believe everything he says. And then when they fact check it, you go, he was just teasing. We watched yesterday. We watched him bomb for 27 minutes. You know what we learned about Donald Trump? When he's joking, he explains the joke afterwards over and over and over and tries to get people to laugh. This wasn't a joke. None of this stuff is a joke. Your politicians consistently talk about the Green New Deal as if it passed. It didn't. And I bet they do know that. It's just that everything is rhetoric. Everything that Republicans message is simply just something to scare you into submission. Every day, it's a new message of be scared, be scared, be scared. And you're like, okay, I'm scared. I was last night before I went to bed, I was starting to feel better, but now there's a new thing to be scared of. Renewable energy is scary. As if you get renewable energy, you're communist.
Was the president asking Americans to remember something that absolutely did not happen? So he said nobody could.
All right, Hootie, let me discuss this. Elon Musk is smart on some things. He's a fucking idiot on a lot of other things. He's intellectually incurious now. He's just every old guy. Like, he's a fucking idiot sometimes. Elon Musk's pretty good at one thing and one thing only. The thing that he's best at is convincing other people that he's brilliant. He's not an inventor. He's not a scientist. He's not a great coder. He's not a great gamer. He's not a great designer. He's really good at selling people on his ideas. One of the best ever to do it. Honestly, like, one of the best ever to do it. His companies aren't even very valuable, and yet they're the most valuable in the world. Like, by any metric that you would use to determine the value of a company, they're not valuable companies, and yet they are traded as if they are the most valuable companies on earth. He's a good salesperson. Great. One of the greatest of all time.
Watched his June 2024 debate with Joe Biden. In fact, more than 51 million Americans watched that debate. There was no mass television outage that day. And the viewers, of course, included millions of people in the state that uses by far the most wind power. That is Republican-dominated Texas, also the most populous state he won. The premise of this story, which he's told in various versions for years now, is that when wind energy is used, you can't turn on your TV, you can't power your house when the wind isn't blowing. That is absolutely false. Wind is used as part of a mix of power sources, so stuff stays on when the wind isn't strong or isn't blowing. Batteries exist that can store wind energy for a low wind periods. So the debate story is false, and the underlying
solar man tint. Ironic. Trump's speech was phenomenal. Only you goofballs on the left didn't like it, and everyone else thought it was fantastic. It wasn't a speech. It was a comedy set, and he bombed. And you know how we know he bombed? Because nobody was laughing. That's how we know. It wasn't a speech. He was supposed to do a comedy set that was written for him, and it bombed.
Premise of the story about wind energy is also totally false.
Oh, boy. Okay, so Daniel, you've also noted that there are several other instances where President Trump used that phrase about moments that never actually happened.
Yeah, he keeps saying, remember that, and then telling stories that only exist in his imagination. They're fabrications. So he said it, for example, last year. He said, remember when I was at my golf course in Scotland?
Prove it, Solarman. Somebody help Solarman. Solarman, come up here and explain to us in a year and a half what Donald Trump has done. I'll give you my platform. You can use your voice. And you said in a year and a half than what Joe Biden and Barack Obama did in 12 years. That's not me mouthing. It's easy proof. Great. Come on up. Come on up and explain it.
Before the Brexit vote, and I correctly predicted Brexit. In fact, he was at the golf course the day after Brexit. Didn't make a prediction because it was after the vote. And he's also just generally told a bunch of fake history stories over the past few months. I counted 2 others this month alone. So listen to 2 totally fake stories he told, one about George Washington and one about the construction of the Panama Canal.
That's fucking brilliant. Before we get to Trump lying here, Phoenix said, Elon Musk is a 95 IQ man who convinced 75 IQ men that he's a 150 IQ man. That is, no notes. That's brilliant. Yeah, that's a perfect encapsulation of who Elon Musk and his fanboys are.
You picked a good location. But George Washington had 2 desks in his pre-White House. One was, and they were right next to each other. One was for business, and one was for...
You see this dude's eyes when he said that? Oh, I forgot about this lady. She scares the fucking shit out of me. I forgot about her. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm really not, but she scares the ever-living fuck out of me.
The presidency had 2 desks in the same room. And by the way...
Solar, do you need us to mute you in the chat so you can figure out a way to come up here and tell us about it? Or you haven't? It seems like you're preoccupied. Mods, why don't you give Solar Man Tint like a 5-minute mute and explain, and then you just need to message JenDub1 on Discord. She'll help you come up here and talk about it. I can't pay attention to you. There's a bunch of other people here, right? So you got to come. I've given you the opportunity to have this platform, so we'll just mute you for like 5 minutes, and then you come up here and you can tell us about it.
38,000 Americans died to give us one of the greatest engineering feats of all time, the Panama Canal.
You guys believe that?
None of that is accurate at all. This 2 desks story was widely debunked by experts in George Washington. When he started telling it during his first term, George Washington did not have 2 side-by-side desks for business and official duties. And then nowhere close to 38,000 Americans died during the construction of the Panama Canal. According to imprecise records, about 5,600 people in total died during the U.S. construction phase in the early 20th century, but only hundreds of those were Americans. The others were
fucking 32,000, couple hundred. What's the difference?
Poorly treated.
That's honestly what MAGA says. 38,000, 200 or 300. So why are you nitpicking? Because those numbers aren't fucking close. That's why. That's why we're nitpicking. It'd be one thing if he's like 1,000 people died. You're like, yeah, it was 600. Okay, we can live with that. 38,000 versus a couple hundred. That's not even nitpicking. Let's just be honest about that.
From the Caribbean. So
George Washington dug the Panama Canal with his bare hands and then killed those 38,000 people with his bare hands. That's the true story. So TikTok, we're joking. Don't take us down for misinformation, please.
8,000, forgive me, just not even close to accurate.
Oh, boy. Hey, I'm glad you dig. Thank you so much for digging. Daniel Dale, appreciate it.
All right. Before we get to Ossoff destroying Hegseth for 6 straight minutes, I do want to just discuss this letter real quick. This is from Governor Andy Beshear of Kentucky, writing a letter to Mitch McConnell, who definitely can read, who definitely is not live action role playing Weekend at Bernie's right now. He's definitely alive. He's definitely functional. He's definitely having 17-minute conversations with a lot of people. He just can't show us. Andy Beshear says, I'm addressing this letter to Senator McConnell. I like that he addressed it to Senate staff, too, because let's be honest, Senate staff's going to read this. Under the assumption that he is capable of reading and responding verbally and not incapacitated by means of consciousness or cognition. If the senator is unable to respond for either of those other conditions, consider this letter a demand for his Senate staff to be honest and transparent with the people of Kentucky. It has now been 43 days since news of your hospitalization. During that time, you've cast 0 votes, engaged in no official activities, and aside from 2 photos and corresponding statements, have made no effort to communicate with your Kentucky constituents or the nation. Even the attending physician's written statement does not discuss your actual condition, including whether you can speak, reason, or carry out your duties as a senator. He couldn't do that shit before. If the doctor's note said he is able to speak, reason, or carry out duties as a senator, we would have to assume that whatever caused his hospitalization fixed him. Because this fucker was dead before now. He's been dead for 5 years. They just keep rolling him out. I understand anyone's desire for privacy, but when you run for office and serve as one of a state's 2 U.S. senators, you willingly abdicate much of your personal privacy. That's the deal, and we all know it when we run. Important events are happening in our country right now during your absence. President Trump is stuck in a war of his own making and has greatly strengthened the very country he claims is a threat. Prices continue to rise, crushing Americans who are working hard but not getting ahead. Americans' voting rights are being eliminated by the Supreme Court and threatened by congressional action, all while you are absent and refuse to communicate clearly and directly to the people you serve. We have Mitch McConnell. We have who was that person just recently was gone for like 3 months for mental health, just didn't tell us. You have the congresswoman in Texas who disappeared for like 8 months. Can we set a rule that like if you don't show up for work, you're fired? How many of you can not show up to work for 3 fucking months or 43 days and not get fired? Why can't we fire these people for not showing up to work? We need a new amendment here. And the amendment's just like, if you don't show up, you get fired. As a governor of the state you serve, I'm calling on you to directly and verbally address the people of Kentucky and provide proof of your capacity to serve or resign. I'm further sending this letter to Senate Majority Leader John Thune. Per our research, a vacancy in the Senate occurs when a senator dies, resigns, or is expelled by a vote of the Senate itself. If you are unwilling to voluntarily show that you still have the capacity to serve, I will insist Leader Thune, is it Thune? It's Thune. I always say Thune, sorry. Thune, fully investigate your condition, report to the American people, and begin the process if warranted. And here's Andy Beshear in his own words, something that apparently Mitch McConnell is incapable of doing, but let's just keep him in the Senate because fucking MAGA, right? Because 2-party system, right? We'll just keep dead people in Senate so that we don't have open elections.
It correctly that August 3rd is a key deadline here, that if Mitch McConnell
audio sound weird to you guys? It's coming out just one.
Is in this capacity through the 3rd.
Sorry for that audio.
Have an opportunity to name a replacement.
Well,
until an actual election is held.
Hey, somebody mute Solar for another 5 minutes. Are you back talking, bud? Come up here. You don't get to disrespect me all day long and claim that you can explain things to me if you're not going to come up here. You're still fucking here, dude. Mods, give Solar or whatever another 5 minutes, or admit that you're unwilling to come up here. Those are your two options. You have 2 minutes to respond. You can come up here or admit it, and if not, another 5 minutes for you. And we're just going to keep muting you 5 minutes at a time until you either admit that you're a coward or you knock it the fuck off.
There's an argument out there that's a date where I could not later call a special election. And for those that are really pushing this...
Will you challenge that?
Well, a lot of those that are pushing this are online and I think are under the impression that a Democrat in Kentucky might be able to win that election. It's been since 1992 that we have had a Democrat.
If you can't hear anything, it's only coming out of my left headphone, so adjust your headphones or put it on speaker or something.
Senator in Kentucky. You mentioned a lot of missed votes. I want to point out some other missed votes that might not be a bad thing. He hasn't been there to vote on the SAVE Act, which would tear voting rights away. He hasn't been there to vote to support this war in Iran that this president started and shouldn't be continuing. He's not there to vote for a potential replacement of a Supreme Court justice to continue a court that would tear down the Voting Rights Act. So listen, when you look at some of this, a vacancy, not having Mitch McConnell show up isn't necessarily a bad thing, because he certainly doesn't show up to help the American people.
That's for damn sure. I wanted to tell TikTokers, appreciate you guys being here on TikTok. Make sure you're still hitting those likes, protect the live for us. We didn't get taken down yesterday, I don't think. I think it was just the day before. So we're working on 2 straight days of not being taken down. Top viewers so far, Laura Lee, Johnny D, Plants on the Spectrum, Eve, and Rabbit. Appreciate you guys. Make sure you're gifting. Unfortunately, that's how TikTok keeps us alive. And they've told us as much, that we get no protection because of the way that we operate. Like, we don't generate a lot of gifting. We don't do a lot of debating. There's not a lot of emotional pull there. But if you are able to gift, that would be greatly appreciated. For the rest of you, we do have a gift goal that we need to hit every single day to keep the lights on here. We are way behind, and that's my bad. But if you could help us out in accomplishing that gift goal, it's a Venmo, PayPal, Cash App there in the top left corner. We also take super chats over on YouTube. I will read anything that you say, and if you're able to donate, that would be greatly appreciated so that we can keep doing this each and every single day. Here, as promised, 6 full minutes of John Ossoff absolutely destroying Pete Hegseth, and we're just going to keep I wonder if I can... I don't think I can make that any bigger, unfortunately. And somebody put this together. I'm leaving it. Fuck it. 6 full minutes of John Ossoff destroying Pete Hegseth with ease.
Senator Peters.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Folks, welcome to the...
Supposed to be Senator Ossoff. Hold on.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you all for your testimony. And General Kane, let me just begin by expressing on behalf of all Georgians our immense gratitude and admiration for the service members who are making tremendous sacrifices and conducting themselves.
I love landscape, forced to portrait, forced to landscape format. It's so good. Thank you.
With extraordinary selflessness and professionalism on behalf of the United States and our state's unified condolences and grief for the families of the 4 killed in action.
All right, mute Solar. Mute Solar for 5 more minutes, mods. Sorry, Solar. Yeah, you can't do this. You're going to learn your lesson today.
And our hope for a swift recovery for the nearly 100 wounded over the last 2 weeks. And thank you to you for your service to the nation. Mr. Hegseth, you're requesting roughly $68 billion for the department through this supplemental, correct?
67, yes.
And yesterday, your department stated publicly, quote, U.S. forces struck Iranian military command centers, maritime capabilities, missile and drone launch sites, and air defense systems to degrade Iran's ability to...
If I ever vote for John Ossoff, he's going to have to make a campaign promise to speak a little quicker.
...continue attacking commercial vessels. That was a press release from your department. Is that a broadly accurate characterization of ongoing operations?
That sounds broadly accurate, yes.
On day 14 of this conflict, Mr. Secretary, day 14, nearly 5 months ago, you stated that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. That was on day 14 of the war. Was that an accurate statement?
They didn't have a Navy any longer. It was completely sunk. Their missiles were buried underneath a lot of their underground facilities, and their defense industrial base has been almost completely destroyed. So as far as a military assessment of Iran's capabilities, it didn't mean by any stretch of the imagination absolute zero, but their capabilities
Mr. Secretary,
at the lowest level
you
they've been in a
stated
very
that
long time.
on day 14 of this conflict, in the second week of the conflict, you stated that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. Was that an accurate statement? Yes or no?
Who said that? Who knows? Somebody said this is gray rocking. Well, well done. Maybe that is. Maybe he does. Maybe he has a personality outside of this. But yeah, gray rocking is basically like sounding as uninteresting as possible. It's a strategy used to deal with like difficult people. Actually, probably you're right about that. It is kind of brilliant.
Iran's ability to challenge the United States of America at the level at which we're capable of.
That's not what I asked you, Mr. Secretary. You said on day 14, Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and, quote, made combat ineffective. Yes or no? Was that an accurate statement?
What the American military has done to the Iranian military is a historic military defeat, and they're ineffective in that context.
3 weeks later, you declared victory. That was now nearly 4 months ago. 3 weeks after you'd already said Iran's military was destroyed and combat ineffective, you said, quote, Operation Epic Fury was a historic and overwhelming victory. You said Iran's military had been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come. And you stated we had, quote, achieved every single objective. Were those accurate statements?
It certainly was, on behalf of the men and women in uniform, a historic military victory over Iran.
Had Iran's military been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come? That was a statement that you made 4 months ago.
They had 160 naval vessels in the Blue Water Navy, and they're gone.
Hey, why is this bitch that you guys think is so cool not answering any questions, MAGA? We'll stop it for a second. Why is this guy such a bitch? Why won't he answer a fucking question? Where's all that alpha energy? Where's all that brilliance? Getting his pants pulled down by John Ossoff. And instead of pulling his pants back up and acting like an adult, he's showing the world the tiniest helicopter you ever did see. So tiny, it's not even moving. He's shaking his hips, but it's staying stationary. You need a certain amount of length in order for it to wiggle, and he doesn't have that. Why is it that you're still rallying around these dumb bitches? Answer a fucking question, Pete.
Force
you said 4 months ago.
Combat ineffective, and they don't have a defense industrial base. So describe to me a country that doesn't have an air force, a navy.
I have a nasty vocabulary. Just wait. It gets worse, dude. It's worse. Wait till people start insulting me and I start talking about face fucking their dads. It's going to get worse.
For defense industrial base, and I will describe to you a country that does not have an effective military.
You stated,
it can lob missiles.
Mr. Secretary, you stated 4 months ago that Iran's military had been rendered, quote, combat ineffective for years to come. Has Iran's military been, for the last 4 months, combat ineffective?
It's been set back not just years, but likely decades.
You stated we had, quote,
build at the level it did before and not even close. It doesn't mean it doesn't have capabilities.
Mr. Why are you so shiny, bitch? Why are you so shiny up there? Somebody get this man some back to makeup. He's too shiny.
Secretary, you stated we had, quote, achieved every single objective. Was that an accurate statement 4 months ago?
The main objective of this was to ensure that Iran never gets a nuclear weapon. Their main sites were obliterated. We're watching over them, and we're holding that issue.
Am I going to get bombed to make sure I don't get a nuclear weapon too? Because I had the same access to a nuclear weapon as Iran. Using this rhetoric and this justification, we could literally bomb everybody. The only people we couldn't bomb are people with nuclear weapons, but we could bomb everybody without nukes.
Don't give them up at the table. There's other ways we can take them away.
Early in the conflict
Iran will
on
never
day
have
3,
a nuclear
Mr.
weapon.
Secretary, early in the conflict, day 3, you said one of those core objectives was to, quote, destroy the missile threat. And as you restated on day 5, to, quote, obliterate Iran's missiles and drones. Those were clearly and repeatedly stated core objectives of the campaign, which 4 months ago you declared had been completed victoriously with every single objective achieved. Were those objectives achieved 4 months ago?
No one ever stated that every single missile was gone. Ultimately, combat ineffective means they're not able to dig them out of their UGFs and shoot
Had
at
the
us.
missile
It
threat.
doesn't mean
Then how do they keep shooting fucking missiles? How the fuck? How do you guys watch this? Honest to God, how do you watch this? You know they're shooting missiles, but then Hexa's like, yeah, they don't have any. What I mean by combat ineffective is they can't launch missiles. Well, we watched them shoot missiles. So how'd that happen? It's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard. Why do I look like I stink? I probably don't smell great last night. Me and a couple of my buddies took turns just destroying your dad's asshole last night. And as I mentioned before, I got home kind of early this morning and I haven't had time to shower. So I think that probably is like I'm getting a whiff every once in a while. I'm like, that's probably why it looks like I stink here.
They don't have underground facilities where they put missiles in them and hold on to them because they're the world's largest state sponsor of terrorism. So we never expected they would stop having capabilities to shoot. The question is at scale against an opponent like the United States of America, which went toe-to-toe with them and Iran couldn't.
You stated on March 8th, day 9 of the war, on 60 Minutes, you assured the American people of Iranian surrender. Does that remain your prediction?
Ultimately, Iran will never have a nuclear weapon to threaten the
You promised they'd surrender. Is that still your plan? They will never have a nuclear weapon. Cool. You promised they would surrender. Is that still your plan? I'm going to In-N-Out Burger for a double-double at lunch. You promised Iran would surrender. Is that still your plan? I slicked my hair back today, but I like to keep the waves in it. I have a product to keep it wavy. Like this salt and pepper look. Yeah, you can't just say whatever the fuck you want to every question. Unless you're MAGA, and then they're like, oh, I love this. He's owning the Dems by looking like a dipshit.
United States of America. That has been the objective, and it remains so.
So just to review, you will not answer whether your statement made on the 14th day of the war.
You bet I'm bald? No, I got hair on the top of my head. You can see it there. But I do have a little bald spot right here. See that in the middle? That's friction, because your dad is a cuck and your mom is a hot wife. That's just a friction burn right there. That's the bald spot. It is receding, though, on the sides there. It's not great. I don't have a great hairline.
Or that Iran's military had been, quote, destroyed and made combat ineffective was a truthful statement to the American people as you sit here and ask for tens of billions more for the
Senator's time has
But a
expired.
historic and effective military campaign against the largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Won't answer the question.
Senator Peters is recognized.
Yeah, for sure, man. I'm 40. For sure. My hairline's on its way out. I'll be bald at some point. Yeah. I'm 40 years old. That's what happens to people when you turn 40. Like most people at 40 are losing their hair. Sorry about that. Are you not going to fuck me now? That you're the only one you seem to be the only person in your family who's not attracted to me, and that's honestly that does hurt my feelings a little bit, especially given like how how aggressive Daddy is, how he nonstop texts me nonstop. So it is interesting that and Mom, I guess just you're the one person in the family that's not into that. All right, there was John Ossoff. Let me check messages here. Just to remind a guy that I hate to be an asshole here. Jen's gonna start guilt tripping. We are crowdfunded, so we do rely on your donations in order to pay our bills. And we are way behind today. You can see the gift goal in the bottom left or upper left corner, depending on how you're watching. And you can donate using PayPal, Cash App, Venmo, or Super Chats, and that's how we keep the lights on here. Maybe the dad jokes are driving away the donors. I don't know. Okay. How much? Let's do this. Yeah. I think some people didn't like this interview. I watched this whole interview. For the record, I thought this was one of the best things I've ever seen any journalist do. Channel 5 had on Hunter Biden and Nick Fuentes and kind of just let things go. Learned two things. One, Nick Fuentes is more educated than I thought he was, like traditionally educated. Two, Hunter Biden is a better communicator than I thought he was. And three, Nick Fuentes isn't nearly as effective when he's sitting across from somebody who isn't going to play the game and who isn't going to get offended and isn't going to be outraged. There's a couple times where Hunter Biden pushed back on Nick and is like, come on, man, like that's too far. But Nick's game is outrage. He says things on purpose to get a reaction that gets clicks, but he's not very effective when you put him across from somebody because he doesn't have good social skills because he's kind of fucking weird. And he's lived basically his entire adult existence online surrounded by groypers, just a bunch of incels who fucking hate women, hate their moms, and love Nick. But I wanted to show two clips from this interview. Let me just say, again, I'm not always a fan of platforming certain people, but if you're going to platform people like Nick Fuentes, this is the way that you do it. And I really, really, really enjoyed watching this. I watched the whole thing, and I thought I was going to hate it. I loved it. Andrew Callahan at Channel 5 continues to show skilled journalists how to be a journalist.
We take back right now. But
Like
we're
what?
going to do the cookies in the oven.
Oh, he said this is one thing he wants to take back. Nick Fuentes made like a joke about calling Jewish people cookies in the oven.
Well, that's a joke.
But it's not, Nick. My wife is Jewish. My son is Jewish. No, no, no,
on.
Nick. I promise you.
Betsy, thank you for the $10. Said this is specifically because I love the dad jokes. Thank you.
Get mad.
I'm not mad.
Okay,
It's
I know. But okay. But you got to understand how incredibly, whether it's a joke or not, it's a lived experience passed down from generation to generation, whether or not and by the way, not just from the Holocaust, not just from 1939 on, 2,000 years of history, okay? Forget about Israeli politics and Netanyahu, because I think we agree about Bibi Netanyahu. I'm positive we do. And I've listened to you talk about it. But you got to understand, look at me, man.
I see.
It hurts. It hurts.
Does it?
Nick, I promise you it does. When you compare my wife's family to cookies going to an oven, it hurts. And you've got to understand that. And by the way, I'm looking at you.
That's true. I don't have near the influence that Nick Fuentes has. That's true. What are you blowing Nick Fuentes here for? Go to his chat. It's so like, I hope to God that nobody ever goes into another chat and like blows me. Like the way that you guys blow Nick. We're just watching an interview. Fucking relax.
Yeah.
And I believe that you do know that.
See, that's where you lose me. That's where you lose me.
Okay, Nick. Okay, I'm telling you.
Well, listen, are we here to talk, or are you here to lecture me and
Okay,
preach
no,
to
you're
me?
right. Let me listen.
Okay.
You're right.
So
You're right.
this is the
Okay.
thing, because, you know, and I think this is a disconnect. I think that the left, and even people on the right, they're losing the young people. Why do people love me? Not in spite of, but because of the outrageous things that I say. Not in spite of, but because I say offensive things. Because I, let's say, drop the N-word on a video or something. It's because people are sick of the preachiness, the
Nick.
lecturing.
Okay, I'll listen
They
to what
really
you're gonna
are.
say. But Nick, I see
I think to some extent that's true. But Nick's audience is full of, I mean, who was it? Somebody was just here was saying like they liked my show, but they like Nick Fuentes. Like, but the people that like Nick Fuentes don't think women should have rights. They believe in ethno-states. They like how Nick presents it. And Nick's like a very effective white supremacist. He's the best white supremacist content creator out there. He's the one that creates the most energy. He has the biggest movement. At the end of the day, they showed up because they're white supremacists. They stayed because of his cruelty. And like, if you are any sort of supremacist, like the cruelty is often going to be the point. So I agree with what he's saying, kind of, that they like him because of the way that he positions things, but they like him over other white supremacists, right? Like they like him over who's that guy that Nick Fuentes used to love? Call it shit, I forgot his name. But let's say somebody like PragerU, right? Like so, or dipshit with the pec implants that got kicked off everything, that his wife divorced him. Steven Crowder, is he still around? But yeah, he's very popular. He's the most popular white supremacist.
I disagree.
David Duke better than David Duke.
I think that you're appealing to the lowest common denominator of thought. If you're hating on the people that they think are the reason for their suffering, then you must be on their side. I don't think that you believe that about the Holocaust. I think you think the Holocaust did happen. But forget about whether or not you think that it is used politically in a way that is obtuse and wrong. But I think that you do believe that. And I think that
This is fucking brilliant by Hunter Biden. One thing that struck me watching Hunter Biden is, one, he's very intelligent. Two, he's clearly done a ton of therapy. Anybody who's gone through a lot of therapy, check. This guy's gone through a lot of therapy, and he's viewing things through that lens. Like legitimately, Hunter Biden is trying to understand Nick Fuentes here. And when he listened to Nick Fuentes in preparation for this, it was with the goal of understanding what makes him tick. I do think that's important. Like, if you're in this space, I don't think it's important for most of us to look at Nick Fuentes and be like, I wonder what makes him tick. But for those of us in this space, it is important. And I think Hunter Biden does an incredible job of getting Nick to kind of soften his stances, which he's about to do here.
You have to. Like, what's your cultural heritage?
Klein, relax, bud. Relax. I get it. You got thoroughly embarrassed in the chat. Go take a few breaths. Relax. You don't keep spamming that I'm lying. Okay? Just chill. We don't want to have to mute you, but you might need to be put in timeout for a second. Just relax.
I'm Italian, Mexican, and Irish.
Mexican. When did they come in Italian? When did the Mexicans come? When did the Irish come?
Mexicans came turn of the last century. Yeah. Italians came in the 1860s.
Yeah.
Irish
Klein, what do you think I'm lying about? Just tell me what I'm lying about, and I'll address it for you. Okay? That'll calm you down.
came in the early 1900s.
Okay, so maybe you wouldn't care about something that is like grossly offensive just on the face of it, and think that, oh, why can't people just believe that that's funny? But you got to understand, it's from a perspective of somebody that has that trauma, and I think that there is such a thing as generational trauma, and those stories are passed down generation to generation. When you say something like that, they completely shut off. They can't hear another thing that you're saying about this cultural disconnect, about losing communities, about the feeling of being left out or left behind in a world in which there no longer is this sense of community. All the other things that you say. Everybody else is left. And what you do pick up, you pick up the ones that hear the dog whistle. You pick up the ones that say, yeah, that's the way that I feel, because it's radical. It's like he's willing to say the thing that nobody else will say in this environment. And then you get an enormous amount of niche, but love from that. And I just don't believe that you believe that. I don't believe that you think that it was appropriate for you to say something like that.
This has been my experience with every groyper that I've ever had like a personal conversation with. He might still be hanging around. I don't know. Jen, what was the guy that used to like DM me? I forget his name now. Sorry. I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I just have the worst fucking memory. I forget his name. Anyways, we used to have real conversations, and it was interesting. Like when text, thank you. When you guys weren't around, and when it was just like DMs, you would watch like all of that anger and all of that shit that he talked. Like it would just come down. And it's not that his views changed; it's that he was willing to expose like how he got those views. And in every scenario that I've had conversations with hateful people, the hate comes from a place of insecurity, and the hate is amplified when we mask that insecurity with outward hatred, and that outward hatred is met with acceptance. Because generally speaking, like that hatred that you have inside of you, that all of these groypers have inside of them, is developed from some sort of like childhood trauma. Not feeling insufficient, feeling unloved, feeling othered, feeling like they didn't have friends, feeling like they weren't accepted into certain groups. And then they find this community online, and the more outrageous they are, the more acceptance they get. And so it like creates that behavior pattern. But every time I've ever seen a white supremacist put in a situation where it's one-on-one, you just watch. And I will say the word, like, it humanizes them. Like, this was a really interesting interview because it humanized Fuentes, not in the way that's to justify what he is, but like all people are humans. The worst people you know, at their core, they're human. And at their core, there's something there that is that inner child that is wounded. And behind every hateful bigot is an inner child that is wounded, that never got the help that they needed, never got the therapy that they needed, or they rejected it. Or they sought out the wrong people. And that's really what happened to Nick Fuentes. He talks about like going to, like in high school, he had friends. You know what Nick Fuentes did in high school? Does anybody know what his favorite part of high school was? If you watch this, he was in Model UN. That was his favorite part of high school. He was like a debate dude, Model UN guy. Then he went to college. I want to say, they said he went to BU, maybe? I can't remember what college. He went to a decent school, went to college. I think he studied political science, had friends there. And then he says, like, after he launched his career, he lost all his friends. Did he go to Boston University? Is that where he went? I don't remember. Once he started his career, and once he started like trying to be more outrageous to get clicks, he lost all his friends. Well, now when you lose all your friends, what's your option? You created a new community. And that community that surrounds him shows up every day for him to be outrageous. And so it conditions it, it conditions the behavior. Like, what's rewarding? What's the rewarding behavior? Yeah, the rewarding behavior is him being outrageous. To some extent, I can fall into that too, right? Like, if I start talking about fucking people's dads, people are more likely to donate. When I used to debate, like, gifts would, if it was a calm debate, everybody would get bored. If it's an outrageous debate, if it's like an absolute bigot, like, you could see the chat would just be like streaming, and it would just be like, fuck this guy, drop this guy, get rid of this guy. And at the same time, while everybody's deeply offended and angry at whoever it is that I'm debating, the gifts are rolling in. And that type of outrage farming is difficult, like, when you're in this position. Like, how do you balance that? And I think that I try to balance that, and I'm sure that looking back, being reflective, I could find many times that I didn't balance that. But that's what was interesting here. And I was so happy to see Hunter Biden, somebody who, good Lord, has this guy made some bad fucking decisions in his life. Some really bad decisions. Good Lord, has he hurt the people that he loved. Good Lord, has he decided multiple times in his life, I don't give a fuck about a single person but myself. And he's lived a very selfish existence for parts of his life. And he's obviously, again, gone through therapy. And, I'm not going to speak to the kind of person Hunter Biden is. He gives off the perception that he is actively recovering. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't. But what he's saying here resonates with me. Jacob said, love the dad fucking jokes. Keep them going. Yeah, that's proof. Stacy, thank you. Chris said the weekly Antifa dues. Excuse me. Big W in the chat for the $50 sent over on PayPal from both Amber and Chris. Amber said, keep throat punching MAGA's moms and dads. Only consensually, though. We don't do it in a violent manner, just when they ask for it. Dark City said, sorry, I don't give a fuck about Fuentes. He's a vile person. Yeah, I don't think you have to give a fuck about Fuentes here. What you do have to kind of admit is that he has a massive following and that he is a player. Like, his opinion and his content shapes voters and shapes political ideology of millions of people, far more than I shape. So I also don't give a fuck about Fuentes, but pretending he doesn't exist also doesn't really work, right?
I think you believe that it's appropriate.
Oh, sorry. Dolphin said a combination of Hunter's law background and what you learn in rehab, AA, NA, causes you to analyze everything, especially if you're serious about your recovery. I don't have a law license, but rehab and AA made me really think more in depth about all situations. I agree with that. Like, therapy in general does that. It causes you to be reflective, which kind of allows you to be more empathetic towards other people's either lack of reflection or recognizing that people can do bad things and change. I'm not advocating that Nick has changed here, for the record. I'm just showing what happens when you communicate with somebody like Hunter. It brings the walls down.
Say women shouldn't vote.
Let's give Nick a second to respond to the first thing.
I know, I talk constantly. That's how I do this.
It's all good.
I apologize.
I get it, and I understand that perspective, and it is offensive and it is provocative, and that's sort of what makes it funny. I mean, what we would say in our generation is edgelording. We're being edgy. We're being provocative, and I think that it is that kind of overbearing sense for our entire.
Nick, I'm the king of edgelord.
Well, in a certain
provocative.
way.
Let's let Nick explain.
Yeah, I know. I apologize.
It's that overbearingness that my generation's had our entire lives. That's not appropriate. That's not funny. Think of the trauma. That's racist. That's white supremacist. That makes it funny. That makes it different, interesting. And let me grant, by the way, I think that now, and this is maybe a concession towards you, now that my kind of humor has become mainstream and popular, I don't even think that that's funny anymore. People do the edgelording thing. It's become so commonplace and so tired. I don't think it's that funny or impressive. That's a big part of why I kind of moved past it, because 10 years ago.
God damn, Nick sounds like me a year ago. When I used to debate, and sometimes we'll do it here, I found that one of the most effective ways to deal with edgelords or people that just say outrageous things is telling them that it's outdated. Like, I'm 40. I had a segment earlier, I guess last week. Didn't go well for me. Bad segment for me, where I offered pushback on what Hassan Piker was wearing. And I got called unk over and over and over again. You know what I learned from that? I learned, like, that mockery, that sucks. That hits home. That's what Nick's saying right now. Like, it became so commonplace now that they're correcting kind of in the other direction now. Like, people don't really think it's funny anymore. Like, I don't know how many times you can drop the R slur or make a trans joke. Like, it outraged people at first because it was hurting people, and now everybody's kind of tired of it. Like, it just does, like, people have heard it all so much, like, it's not even as offensive anymore. It's kind of just like, dude, shut the fuck up.
It was treated like sacrilegious. And there's something funny about the fact that you could say a word or make a joke and make people lose their minds and freak out. And it was like an international incident if you said the wrong thing. And I think that's what made it tempting, especially for a young person. You want
debates have become sporting events, your team versus mine. Agreed.
You want to rebel. You want to be defiant. You want to be a little revolutionary or something. Now, as time has gone on, I think that's become a fad. Everybody does it. It's lost its power. And I think that, by the way, part of why we're getting less of it is because instead of getting the preachy lecture from the left saying that's not appropriate.
Thanks, Deborah, for joining the dollar train.
People just roll their eyes. Now when an edgy white person...
Okay, sorry. That's important, not because... This is a real take on like what their reaction is. This is a real take on like how to... You're getting an honest answer from Nick here of how you deal with people like Nick and the Groypers. Roll your eyes at them. You can engage in a discussion, but when they go outlandish, what they want is the reaction. That's what they wanted all along. So just roll your eyes.
Says the N-word, people roll their eyes and go, really? You know, that joke again? People hear someone wears a Nazi costume, makes a Holocaust joke. People go, really? That joke again? It's not impressive. It's not funny anymore. We've seen it before. And ironically, that is what makes you get less of it when you disempower those things by not giving them this over-the-top reaction, pretending like it's some great travesty.
Now, I don't know if Hunter learned from that in real time or if he was able to take it here, because then they're talking about Nick was raised in Chicago, and they get on Nick's views specifically on black people. And I think Hunter, again, does a good job asking the right questions and kind of pushing Nick into a corner on crime. Nick correctly points out that poor areas often have more crime. But then what he does, instead of saying like poor areas have more crime, is he says, oh, black people are in those areas. Black people are poor because black people are poor, right? Because that's what they earn. That's what they deserve. Therefore, black people commit more crime. Therefore, I have a problem with black people. Not factoring in the history of, especially in a place like Chicago, of why black people are put into specific neighborhoods, why you have black neighborhoods, and why those neighborhoods don't get funding. You notice you'll never hear the Groypers and the right talk about like Appalachia. They don't talk about like where I grew up. It was pretty like I guess obvious from the eye. There's a road where I grew up in Utah County called State Street. If anybody grew up in Utah County, you know what I'm talking about. There's State Street runs all the way through Utah County. And I lived on the east side of State Street, and then on the west side of State Street, we went down to a lake. The west side was significantly more poor. Significantly more poor. I grew up privileged. I'll just admit that. I grew up in a suburb, all white suburb. Everybody had the same religion. And even down on the west side, it was all white, but less money, same religion. The crime happened more in poor areas, and the poor areas were policed. If I went down to the west side, I used to ride my bike all the time to go fishing down at the lake, and I would have to ride through neighborhoods. I would see police everywhere. I never saw police in my neighborhood, ever. And the stuff that like my friends would get busted for that lived on the west side as we got older for, like they get busted, like parties would get busted all the time, underage drinking, racing their cars. All that shit happened on our side too, but nothing ever got busted. I never once went to a party, and I'm sure it happened, but not one time did I go to a party that got busted on the wealthy side of town. Every party I went to that got busted was on the more poor side of town. That's just true. And that's the part that Fuentes is smart enough to understand, that poverty is the number one indicator of crime. Always. Doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter like what your ethnicity is. If you live in impoverished areas, especially if you live in an impoverished area with close proximity to wealthy areas, that creates like this magnet for those without, who are lured to the places of those who have means, and the crime, then the people with means become the victims of crime, and then you also have like crime around each other as well, right? But That's the part of the racist right that drives me fucking nuts, because it really is just a simple answer. Poverty creates crime. The more wealth, the less wealth inequality you have, the lower the crime rate. The more wealth inequality you have, the higher the crime rate. But they always just take it to this other step that doesn't need to be taken. Like, are there black neighborhoods that are wealthy where the crime rate is higher than black neighborhoods where they're poor? No. Where are the most crime-ridden white neighborhoods in this country? Are they wealthy or are they poor? Poor. Every time. Every single time. The places with the most crime are the places with the most poverty. Why anybody would think I've got to now separate this out by race is beyond me, other than just like, what do you just, I guess that's capitalism. That's the flaw in capitalism. You just have, hold on one sec, Jen. Hold on 1 sec. You just want to defend capitalism, so you have to make it about race, so that you can't just point out that like wealth inequality is a real fucking problem. And welcome, Monty Raid. Appreciate you guys coming here. What's up, Jen?
That's what I was going to say. Welcome to the Raiders.
Oh, I'm sorry. Anything else you want to say while you're here?
No, actually, you mentioned it. Tex did send me a message yesterday asking if you were going to cover this. So,
yeah. So, I don't know if you're talking about why do I cut people off? What do you mean, why do I cut people off? You're not up here. Do I have to mute you again? Come up here and talk to me. What do you mean cut you off? Come up here. You talk a lot of shit, and you talk a lot of tough, and you cry a lot for somebody who's been told 1,000,000 times to come use your voice like a big boy.
Around that. People don't want to live around that. You know, in Chicago, it rolled on into the summer, and it wasn't, let's say, the anger of the oppressed and the disenfranchised.
So
they were looting. They were looting and carjacking. The criminals.
Yeah. Who are?
Mostly black.
Nick, I
is that not true?
Yeah, maybe, Nick. I don't know. I just don't. I don't know why you use the platform that you have to make that your target. Are you saying that the problem with
the follow-up question there that I would love to ask Nick is like, you says that fine. I do, and Hunter doesn't know specifically, right? Maybe it's mostly black people. Maybe it's not. The follow-up question is, are those people poor? Yeah. Okay. Let's look at other areas that are poor. Okay. Let's look at other areas that are poor. Let's look at Oklahoma City. Let's look at Appalachia. Are the crime rates similar? Yeah. Okay. So there doesn't seem to be there isn't actually a disparity here based on race, right? It's poverty. That's the follow-up question. If you want to talk about crime in Southside Chicago, you want to talk about crime in DC, talk about the areas where that crime is happening. Housing projects, right? Do you have housing projects in wealthy areas? No. Why not? Because people can afford housing. Where do you have housing projects? Where people can't afford housing. So who's naturally going to be around housing projects? Poor people. Do you have subsidized housing in Appalachia, outside of Oklahoma City, where I grew up? Yep, sure do. Where's that housing? Poor places. Where did they put that housing in San Francisco? When you started running into wealth inequality and you started subsidizing housing so they could come in and they could build out the Bay and do manufacturing. Where were the people on subsidized housing put? Oakland. They didn't keep them in San Francisco. In fact, there were people with subsidized housing who they took and they said, you got to go to Oakland now. Black communities almost exclusively. Why are there areas of Oakland that for decades have been black and poor? Because that's where they put black people. They moved black people into those areas. And then they did subsidized housing. That's how they got black people to move to San Francisco. Who the fuck's going to move to San Francisco? So you say, here's jobs, here's housing. You can start a new life, and you can have the American dream. And then they don't provide the American dream. They don't provide quality education. They make taxes based on property values. So now your community, because if you have subsidized housing, you're not paying property taxes. So now you have less money in your community to build out your community. Meanwhile, across the Bay, you have people who own their own houses and they're paying property taxes, and those higher property taxes go into the schools, and the schools are better, the roads are better, the amenities are better. They have libraries, they have public pools, they have public gyms, they have after-school programs. It's not that hard to figure out. It's such a lazy fucking move to just be like, black people. It's so intellectually lazy. And I honestly, I think the only reason people like Fuentes do this is because it pays. There's a lot of people who love that shit.
6-year-old white kid living in suburbia outside of Chicago, and his feeling of being disenfranchised is because there was looting and rioting in Minneapolis by black people, and it's black people that are doing it.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with Austin Metcalf was that he got stabbed in the neck at a track meet. And the problem with our city in Chicago is that the Magnificent Mile is gone. Water Tower Place is gone because of all the crime.
Nick, and the time of an entire generation of African Americans is that they've been getting killed by cops for decades.
That's
what are
just
you
not
talking
true.
about, Nick?
Because they commit crime. And listen, it's not...
Nick,
what?
That's not true. It's not true. Are you saying the police...
He sounded so much like Joe Biden right there.
Brutality as it relates and racism in the police force, in the way in which police treat African Americans. Nick, you could grow up here like I did between Wilmington and Philadelphia, and if you were a black dentist and you lived in Wilmington and you commuted to Philadelphia, the chances of you being pulled over by a state trooper, either Delaware or in Pennsylvania, are about 50 times that would be if it was a white guy. 50 times. And so what you're trying to tell me is that the problem in America right now is that a 26-year-old white kid who lives in suburban Chicago doesn't feel like he has access because he's been canceled or he's been woke, and the problem is black people.
I didn't say the problem's black people.
Well, you just did, Nick. You just
said the problem is crime, and we know who's doing the crime in Chicago. The carjacking.
One more step, Nick. One more step. Problem is crime. We know who's doing the crime in Chicago. He says black people. One more step, Nick. Why in Chicago, where crime is happening, is it black people? Just one more step. And the reason he doesn't take that step is he knows the answer. And this is conservatism 101. Don't take the next step. When you get the answer that you like, stop. Don't ask more questions. Stop with where you're comfortable. For Nick, for the Groypers, for the conservatives, the stop is black people. Then what don't you have to address? Wealth inequality. One more step requires you to address wealth inequality, which we can't do because capitalism, right? You've got to have low taxes. The rich have to be able to make as much money as they want. You have to have your nice schools. You can look at poorer areas and you could be like, you know what? It's not because they're poor that their schools are bad. It's because they're criminals. Like, that's what conservatism teaches you. That's what Nick Fuentes teaches everybody that listens to his show. Stop thinking when you get the answer that you like. If you guys watch Moneyball, there's a scene where Brad Pitt's character is like on the phone and he's making a trade and he gets the trade he wants and he hangs up, and Jonah Hill's like, wait, it sounded like he was saying something. He's like, when you get the answer you want, hang up. That's conservatism 101. Stop. As soon as you're confirmed, stop. No more questions. But the next question is, why are black people in Chicago committing crime? Poverty, upward mobility, access to programs or jobs or education. They don't want to go there. Amy says 100% agree with deep work makes you look at people in another way. Even with me being alienated from my kids by my ex-right-wing husband, I know his military service and his GOP family appearance is everything. The chaos they cover up means nothing. Sorry. If everyone else believes the facade. Yeah, it's hitting pretty close to home there. Amy, I appreciate you saying that. I agree with that. And that pulls at the heartstrings a little.
Shootings, teen takeovers. We know why there's no business on the Mag Mile anymore, and it's because they steal cars, they drive them through windows. And listen, black people are some of the biggest victims of the black crime. But we're not allowed to talk about it because of the racial dimension.
What do you mean you're not allowed to talk about it? We're talking about it right here.
Hey guys,
you have a platform in which millions of people listen to you, Nick.
I think
after Elon had to buy Twitter and open it up. It wasn't like that before. I was banned from everything for many years. So no.
All right, this is silly. Nick, that's not what you do. You didn't get banned for saying that black people are the biggest victims of black crime. Nobody's ever gotten banned for that. You got banned because you were denying the Holocaust. You got banned because you were like saying that black people commit crimes because they're black and they are less than. Nobody has ever been canceled or been not able to say that black people in areas with low income are also the biggest victims of crime. Of course. Whoever's in that community, they're going to be the victims of the crime more often than people outside of the community. Everybody knows that. But again, what is it? It's poverty. Nobody's ever been banned for that. Nick knows that. This is pretty disingenuous for him. And you can tell when Nick is being disingenuous because he gets more animated this way, he starts laughing this way, and he starts playing the victim.
You weren't allowed it. You're right. We could talk about it now, but that's only because the good guys
Nick,
won.
you went from being banned on Twitter to being on YouTube to creating an entire show. I know you're not, but now you have Kick, and now you have all of these other things. You have an enormous platform. I want to find common ground of how much of a shithead Donald Trump is. We can get there. We can get there. Okay. What I don't understand is how you didn't recognize that in 2016, and how you didn't recognize.
Who was that said these communities don't integrate? Integration is the weakest fucking ideology I've ever heard in my life. Integration is fucking stupid. They refuse to integrate with our culture. Who fucking cares? In this same interview, by the way, Nick laments that there is no white culture. That white culture has been homogenized. That it has been diluted because white communities merged together. And he specifically talks about Hispanic communities, black communities, immigrant communities where you have like refugees or asylum seekers who coalesce in one place. And he says that's the thing. Like that's why so many of the people that follow me are upset. Like all these other communities have the ability to have their own culture, to have their own events, to participate the way that they want to, where they don't have to hide their culture. And we, as white people, we have to hide our culture. He makes both arguments in this interview. I don't know if it's an interview, this discussion. I don't want every community I go in to be like homogenous. I don't want everything to look the exact same. Like we're already doing that. Capitalism has already fucking done that to us. I go up and down the street, everything's the fucking same now. Any of you guys live in Arizona, Nevada, any place where you're built a lot like that's grown recently, every fucking house looks the same. Every neighborhood is like the house that I moved out of. Like every house, it's one of 3 designs. There's just 3 designs, and you all have to have the same paint. You all have to have the same rocks for your driveway. You all have to like manicure your yards in the same way. Like capitalism has stripped people of identity. And the only places in this country where you still have identity, generally speaking, are like poorer, more rural areas, either more rural or more poor, or neighborhoods that were built decades ago. This idea that people should assimilate and to American culture, American culture is melting pot culture. Like what the fuck do we think St. Patrick's Day is? And I think he talks about this at some point. Like I liked last time I was in San Francisco, they had, I don't even know what the holiday was. There was some Italian festival. I was walking through San Francisco. There were street vendors everywhere. They were playing Italian music. There was there was cannolis. There were food vendors everywhere. They had Italian I don't know, decor that you could buy. It was cool. It was something I was unfamiliar with. It was nice to see. I don't want to go there and see another fucking casserole dish. I grew up around that. Assimilation is for pussies. People begging for assimilation is just like, I think it's an acknowledgement that you don't have any culture, and it's frustrating that other people do. It's the same people that are like, why isn't there a straight pride festival? Fucking make one. That's why, because nobody fucking cares. Right? Nobody's ever thought, like, we got to go out there and be proud to be straight. Make one. Do it. Why is there a pride parade? Why are there pride festivals? Because people want to fucking do it, because they have a culture that might be different. It might be a counterculture, and they want to go out there and they want to celebrate. That's why. In America, you can do a parade for whatever you want. I grew up in Utah. In Utah, there's 2 July holidays. You have the 4th of July and the 24th of July. I just called my mom the other day, and she was like, I was talking about my girlfriend. She's like, oh, she has to work today? That sucks. And I was like, what? like, it's the 24th, and she's like, oh, wait, that's a Utah holiday. It's a special day to remember the pioneers who came, by the way, immigrants from all over, mostly Scandinavia and Europe, came to America illegally, and then came all the way to Utah and created a communist compound in Utah where they settled in, 150 years later, they're all conservative somehow. I'm not sure how that worked out, but yeah, have whatever culture you want. The problem with Fuentes and the problem with people who talk about like straight pride and white pride is that it's not that they're proud to be white. It's that they're angry that other people are proud to be what they are, and they recognize that culture, and they don't have any. And I just, for one, will say, like, there isn't white culture. It's just not. I don't know what white culture is. I'm not, even when people are like, I'm proud to be white. Why? What's the pride for? We're so, I look at my ancestry, like, it's pretty mixed. Most of us that are here in the United States, like, you go look, your ancestry is pretty muddled if you're a white dude, almost exclusively. But a lot of people who came here as immigrants, or came here as slaves, or came here as refugees, and who wound up staying with their community, like, you marry inside your community. You have a shared culture, so they celebrate that culture. I don't know why they're upset. I think maybe people like Fuentes are like, it's not fair. Because he said, what is he, Italian, Mexican, and English, I think. Yeah, maybe he's upset that they didn't keep any of that culture. I personally don't care. I like experiencing other people's culture anyways. That's why I love going to Mexico. And the place that I go into Mexico is super cool. It's like a beach town, but then where we stay, there's just kind of like this village. It's a community. It's really interesting. Like, you go through the village, and every restaurant is family owned. Every restaurant you go into, every shop that you go into, you'll see the adults working, and there's kids that are obviously members of that family. They hang out there all day. At the end of the day, when the restaurants close, you will see families gather at the restaurants and eat together late at night. They're playing music, they're dancing. There's an open like soccer field there. They'll bring out these carts at night, and it's just the community out there together. It's a beautiful thing. And like, when I'm walking through there, I'm jealous a little bit. Like, man, that'd be so cool to have this. You go to work every night, and then when you get home, everybody just kind of gets together. You hang out, you listen to music, have some good food. There's you're supporting your neighbors who have a food cart, or they're selling trinkets. I think that's really cool. I do think that, like, a lot of this bigotry just comes down to white culture. It's kind of fucking boring, and there's not much to it. So you have two choices. You can either try and experience other people's cultures and get to understand them and experience cultures that do exist, or you can cry about it. And Groypers choose to cry about it.
Recognize that in 2020, and how you didn't recognize that in 2024, because Donald Trump because Donald Trump hasn't changed. Mm-hmm. Donald Trump hasn't changed at all. Donald Trump has been Donald Trump since he came out of the womb of a woman that was an immigrant to this country. And so what I want to know, though, is that I don't know how we get past this idea that the biggest problem that you have that with your personal situation, and how you extrapolate that to the situation of other white kids that are your age, that feel disenfranchised, that feel left out, that feel they don't have a shot at the American dream, is because of black and brown people, because of Mexicans, because of Venezuelans, because of Haitians, it's always other, Nick, with you, it seems to me.
What's that, Solar? You praise a group that gets out in public and does the most evil things in front of children, and then put down people that work hard and build a nice house and builds the America. Okay, let's talk about this. Are there things that happen at pride festivals that I don't want my kid to see? Certainly. If somebody at a pride festival and there's kids around are doing like lewd, indecent things, should the law apply to them as well? Absolutely. Before I started the show, a friend of mine texted me. Her daughter was at a sleepover last night. And her daughter, and I asked if I could share it without names. Her daughter woke up being sexually assaulted by a white man. The most likely person to sexually abuse you in this country is a white Christian conservative man. Don't talk to me about people with their tits out or their dick out. If it's against the law, if there's kids around, they should be prosecuted for that. Fine, I agree with you. If people are fucking in the streets during a pride festival in front of kids, they should be arrested. But don't you dare say that these are the most disgusting people doing the worst things in front of kids. You are undoubtedly a white Christian conservative man, and statistically speaking, you are the most likely person to abuse a child. So spare me that fucking bullshit. Spare me the, white men are just out there building America. The fuck you are. The fuck you are. Let's talk about the people that created America. You want to talk about Thomas Jefferson? Well, what American hero? He had slaves and he raped them. And he didn't tell anybody about raping the slaves. So I'm going to lose TikTok today for sure. He made children. And those children's lineage is now tied to Thomas Jefferson sexually abusing their great-great-great-grandmother. This is, again, the pride of being a white man in this country. Good Lord. It's not great. The numbers are bad. Who's most likely to have a mass violence incident at a school? A teenage kid that looks a lot like me and you. Like, shut the fuck up. I don't know why you're so worried. You other these groups based on the actions of a few. Guess what? Some gay people fucking suck. Some trans people fucking suck. Some lesbians fucking suck. Some bisexual, non-binary people suck. People fucking suck in every group. But again, you stopped where you wanted to stop. Oh, that's bad, so these people are bad. Keep going, bitch. Keep fucking going. Look in the mirror. How do you look? Google right now. Wherever you live, Google. Child abuse. Arrest photos. Look it up. It's going to be men. It's going to be overwhelmingly white men. Like 90-something% of the children sexually abused, it's done by men. And a majority, white men. So please stop. Spare me pointing the finger at other groups of people. Stop that. It's pathetic. You have been pathetic this whole fucking show, man. You showed up like, I'm gonna teach these people a thing or two. You've been muted like 10 times because you're such a bitch that you won't actually come stand on your own opinions with your own voice. And now you do this. Now you're going after LGBTQ people when you're a white Christian conservative man. Like, get fucked, man. That's so stupid.
And I've listened to a lot of the stuff. It's always them. We need to build a wall. Where's the wall, Nick? He never built the wall. Why'd you vote for him in 2020? Why'd you vote for him in 2024?
I didn't vote for him in 2024.
Okay. My point being is that whenever you identify your problem as being something...
Imagine being so shitty that you lose Nick Fuentes.
That is other, that you can point to, that's a minority, that is a group of people, that's the Jews, before, remember, all of us, it was the Irish Catholics who were all committing the crime, who weren't allowed into bars, who weren't allowed into, because you know why? Because they were dirty, poor, non-Europeans, they were Irish. Every time it's wrong. Every time history has proven that to be wrong in the United States of America. Every time. Inclusion has been our greatest strength. Diversity has been our greatest strength. And I hear you talk about this idea of white culture. What fucking white culture are you talking about, man? What
Shakespeare, Dante, Mozart. We're in Philadelphia, the founding father.
Good Lord, how far did you have to go back for those references?
Yeah. That's your white culture.
How about the Count of Monte Cristo? Would you consider that part of our white culture?
Sure.
Okay. Well, it was written by a black man in France in the 1700s.
In a milieu of European civilization.
So what?
You're picking out one example. It really is.
You're picking out one example. Brother, you went Shakespeare for white culture. You went Dante. Like, you could have went Jeff Foxworthy or some shit like that. You could have went Dr. Phil. I don't know. Celine Dion. You had to go way back for those references of what white culture is.
I got one example.
It really is.
Nick.
Listen.
Nick, I'm not. I really am not.
Hey, guys, I think we're reaching what's called a rock in a hard place. Let's talk about Israel.
Well, let me respond to this because you're telling me I'm always blaming the other.
No, Nick, for real. Here's the thing, is that the way that you talk and throw out these historical facts.
That's a great point, Dope Crew. Shakespeare had men play women. That's a good point.
By the way, aren't fucking facts. Okay?
Which ones aren't facts?
Well, as it relates to the Civil Rights Movement in 1968, and the reason why we're out in the problem that we're in is because the Civil Rights Act passed in 1964. Dr. Martin Luther King was killed in...
Becca, I assume when you say who's the other guy, you meant the guy that cut in. That's Andrew Callahan. This is Channel 5 News. This is he's an investigative journalist. He does great work.
Shot by a white racist, white supremacist in 1968 on a balcony of a motel. That's the root of our trouble, because an entire people that have been disenfranchised and enslaved for over 400 years.
We're sick of hearing about that, though. It's 2026.
You may be sick of hearing.
Bro, don't tell us we're sick of hearing about shit when you just went to Shakespeare and Dante. Like, we're sick of hearing about that. Live in the now. Well, where'd you just go, bud?
About it, but you know what? They aren't. And I'll tell you what, Nick.
Get
here's the
over
other
it.
thing.
Get over it. It's America.
Okay, but Nick, you can say stuff.
There it is. That's what happens when you corner a white supremacist. When you break down their beliefs, that's what you get to. Get over it.
Like that. Okay.
All right. It's a long interview. I recommend it. I think it's a great interview. Just to help you understand, if you can stomach listening to Nick Fuentes, which I get some people can't, but it was really enlightening for me. It's probably the best piece of content I think that Channel 5 News has put out there. All right. We've got about an hour and 20 minutes left. We're going to talk about, there was a hearing today, it might have been yesterday. It was Senator Blumenthal and Senator Van Hollen discussing crypto scams, and specifically how crypto scammers have infiltrated our government, and we'll get to that. And that'll probably take up the rest of the show. So sorry for the people who don't like crypto. I'm just giving you a fair warning. If you don't want to talk about cryptocurrency and how that has infiltrated our government, how it's being used by the president to enrich himself, you may want to take off. But then just a reminder, guys, we are crowdfunded. I appreciate you guys so far for helping us knock out those gift goals. About 185 left, hour and 20 minutes. If we did a dollar train, we'd knock that out quick, fast, and in a hurry. Live, we are visibility restricted on TikTok. No surprise there. Thanks, Johnny, Labra Ali, Plants on the Spectrum, Eve, and Jen for being the top gifters over on TikTok. Appreciate that. I'll try and check comments while we're going. If you have questions, don't hesitate to send those in, and I will answer any of them. Amy said, have you ever watched Trump with a drag queen video? Pretty funny. Trump loved it. If you ever watched Trump with a drag queen video. Is that the one with Rudy? You talking about that? If not, I'm not sure which one you're talking about. I know the one with Rudy. Not sure. All right. Let me pull this back up. All right. Here is Senator Murphy, kind of just to introduce this. Chris Murphy from Vermont. This is a good introduction to the hearing we're about to watch.
Trump's corruption here is that he cut illicit deals to jumpstart his cryptocurrency.
Thanks, Pink, for joining the Dollar Train.
He gets Binance to give him the foundation, the platform, and he, in exchange, pardons.
What did I say? Did I say Vermont? Connecticut. Sorry. Thank you. Sorry if I said Vermont.
The founder of his serious crimes. He gets this investment from the Emiratis to essentially put in the big first bulk of funding, and it almost immediately leaps him into the round of the most significant players. Why was it so important for Trump to use?
That's a great point. Vermont and Connecticut are the same thing. They're all just New York.
Power of the White House to corruptly launch his cryptocurrency. The help he gets at the beginning immediately puts him into the stratosphere. And why was that head start so important and so fundamentally corrupt?
This story, pick a point on the globe, and there is always private interests who are trying to bend power to their will. I don't think it's a coincidence that you had a authoritarian government like the UAE who is trying to curry favor. They found the new loophole. They found the new innovation for getting that sort of access. And if we don't have the kind of ethics rules that Ginny's been talking about here, we're letting this new frontier for potential corrupting access just out into the open. And not only that, we're going to...
We are known as Connecticutans. All right, fine. Connecticut's back being a state because that was funny. Connecticut's a real state. Vermont, not.
Advertise to the rest of the world how they can join this new innovative space of being corrupt as well.
The president basically has used the power of the federal government to compel foreign governments or private actors to give him a head start in an industry. If it becomes okay for the president to use the power of his office to essentially bully, compel, or illegally reward a public sector or private sector player to launch his company in a new or old industry, there's really no stopping how powerful the president of the United States could become in any particular industry. So I just think this is important in and of itself to talk about the crypto corruption and the need to put a limitation on it in any bill that passes Congress, but also to understand how limitless this particular corruption scheme is.
All right. There's the introduction there. And I want to get into this hearing. This is a Democrat hearing. Republicans, I don't think, showed up for it. Why would they? No Republican's going to show up and hear about how Donald Trump is literally running like multiple crypto pump and dump schemes and how he's using the office to enrich himself in a way no president has ever done in the history of this country. In fact, all presidents combined don't even come close to holding a candle to what Trump has done in the last 18 months. Patrick said, what's the greatest nation in the world? Donation. I like that. I like that a lot. Damien, thanks for joining the Dollar Train, as well as Deborah. Diet Pepsi said, getting a little bit spicy, a little bit dicey. And the old razzle dazzle, quick, fast, and in a hurry. Hey, howdy, said Clayton Pigsby. All right. And then our good friend Asta Sophia from across the pond. Big W, Asta Sophia, if you're here, sent $80 over on PayPal. Thank you so much. You're always incredibly generous with your donations. Thank you. And now let's talk about a way that you could waste your money instead by investing in cryptocurrency with Donald Trump. So the host here of this hearing was Senator Blumenthal and Senator Van Holland. I'll give you an introduction. We won't watch the whole thing. We'll kick through a couple of clips here. But here's Senator Blumenthal, and I'm going to speed him up.
Senator Chris Van Hollen, who has been a leader in the fight to expose and constrain the abuses surrounding cryptocurrency. And I want to thank him for his immense contribution to the public understanding. And we have a lot of understanding that needs to be expanded. I apologize for being a little bit late. I just flew in from Connecticut. So we're beginning this forum, and I'm going to try to lay out what the reasons are we're here today. And it begins with Donald Trump. In the days before he was inaugurated.
That's 1.5 speed, and he sounds normal.
When most presidents are going through personnel decisions and their vision for the future and helping to lead the country into a new administration, Donald Trump had a different priority, namely cashing in. Trump launched and promoted what he called the quote-unquote official Trump cryptocurrency, a meme coin. It had no inherent value. It was his face and identity.
All meme coins have no inherent value. They are nothing. There is no utility in them. They are hype monsters. You either convince enough people to buy them and hold them and keep buying them to raise the value of them, or you have a pump and dump, or you get people to buy a bunch and then you sell and you make a fortune, or they never do anything. But they are essentially worthless. And Donald Trump launched not one, but two of them that he could use to increase his wealth while he was president.
Trump coin was effectively a pump and dump scheme.
Ironically, pump and dump is what I get paid for by MAGA dads as well. And MAGA, if you're here, tell your dads thank you for making my car payment this month.
Those kinds of schemes used to pertain to securities transactions or stocks. He was using it to inflate the price of the coin and then intending that it be dumped.
You see the chart there? This is Trump's true price after Trump posted that he had a crypto coin, and then you can see the price dropping, plummeting. Again, this has nothing to do with the value of a company. This has nothing to do with revenues. It has nothing to do with the utility of the coin. It is a useless coin. Donald Trump told people to get it, and they could hold on to it. It would be something where the value would go up and up and up and up and up, and it never did. Jamar said, crypto dad and mom fucking. Thank you. Karen said, dollar train. Thank you. William said, what is a Vermont? Nobody knows. We're still trying to figure that out.
Repeatedly hawked it and hyped it on social media. He used it to sell access to the presidency, offering private meetings.
Repeatedly hawking things is what I do with MAGA dads also.
To top investors. But the Trump coin was always doomed to fail. In fact, we've spoken to 3 investors who bought the Trump coin, believing it was a worthwhile investment because it had the endorsement of the President of the United States. Not outlandish to believe the President of the United States is acting honorably and honestly. They told us about how his approval earned their trust. And they also told
Charlie Dent is exposing. Is that a Harvey Dent's older brother joke, liberal? Ain't a later? Is that what that is?
us about how quickly they lost almost everything they had invested. And I'm going to play for you now one of their stories, if we can do it.
I'm a proud American and U.S. veteran. I support the president.
Nothing against the law. No, it actually is against the law. And what you're going to find out in this hearing, John, if you stay long enough, is that they are just not enforcing the law. Actually, all of this is against the law. There are people currently in jail for doing exactly what Donald Trump did. It absolutely 100% is against the law. And Donald Trump's DOJ would be the one to prosecute him, which they can't do for 2 reasons. 1, he's the sitting president, so you can't prosecute him while he's in office. And 2, because they are cucky little bitches who do whatever he says, and so they're not going to investigate him.
Despite any political party, President Trump is going to be the first crypto president, and that was something that I wanted to support. When he announced on Twitter that he released his crypto project, I wanted to be a part of it, so I bought some. Within a few days, he announced that Melania was releasing her own project, and we should buy that too. So
I just want to point out that this is insane, that we can't bring people to testify and we have to disguise their voices. These are Trump voters who believed in Trump and got scammed by his coin. And they have to hide their identity like this, because if they don't, their lives are in danger. Illusion said, if MAGA missed it, RTP services at great prices. That's right. We'll beat any price.
I bought that as well. I trusted Trump that both of these were legitimate projects. However, the reality was that there were scams. Within a few days, I'd lost about $10,000 on the Trump coin and $6,000 on the Melania coin. I couldn't believe it. I trusted Trump that these were legitimate, and they weren't. I can't believe something like this would happen.
Now, if there is one picture you take away from this forum, this should be it. This is the history of the Trump.
Imagine being ultra MAGA in the YouTube chat here and coming in at this time while they're showing how Trump scams everybody, like commits crimes and scams everybody and uses the office of the presidency to become a billionaire while doing absolutely fuck all for you and being like, if you vote for Democrat, you're crazy. Imagine being that human being right now. That'd be tough. You can't have mirrors in your house. There's your biggest fear must be a mirror.
Meme coin. You could make it a case history in business schools. Pump and dump, front running, bait and switch, classic, fraud. That's when it began, at the beginning of the Trump administration, when it was hyped.
Shut up, Tom.
They left a mess for President Trump. Nothing is ever his fault. The reason things have gotten worse since he's been president is because the other people did bad things.
Shut the fuck up, Tom. You're here every goddamn day, dude. You've been here for like a year and a half. Everything's getting worse. This is pathetic, dude. It's pathetic.
It's still not his fault, damn it. It's everybody else that's the problem.
By the President of the United States, and then dropped precipitously. The President had a gala to try to hype it back.
While he was president, by the way, while he was president, he took some time out to host a crypto gala to pump the price of his cryptocurrency so he could make more money. Again, all of this is a crime. All of it. Just not if you're president and you control the DOJ, then you're like, yeah, we're not going to prosecute this. This is all 100% a crime.
It worked a little bit for a little while, and then the slide continued to today when it's worth a pitiful, pathetic fraction of its initial amount. Trump's profits had victims. Corruption.
No, it wasn't the Gatsby party. that was the one where it was like the top 220 holders of the Trump meme coin got to come to, I think it was at Mar-a-Lago, to a special dinner, and they were supposed to meet with Trump. They actually all got pissed because Trump showed up and he didn't actually meet with them because that would be against the law, which rarely does he do that. But it would have been such a clear violation that he spoke and then he left. He couldn't meet with them, and they were all pretty pissed about that. But when they announced that the top 220 people holding the meme coin would go to the dinner, a bunch of people tried to get to that dinner because they thought they were going to get some one-on-one time with Trump.
Costs. And the consequences to these individuals were lost retirement accounts, sacrificed savings, houses in foreclosure, losses that changed their lives. $3.8 billion. That's right, $3.8 billion, so that he could profit.
The way that this works is the only way that you can profit is if you sell. Right? The only way that you can sell for a profit is if a bunch of other people buy it. And then when you sell, especially if you're a holder like Trump and his friends who hold a massive portion, when you sell, the price comes down. And then the price starts dipping and everybody panic sells at the same time, and then they all get out. But most of these people selling on this way down are losing money. These are people who bought here and they get to here and they're like, I gotta fucking sell. Some people wrote it out. They might have got here and they're like, oh, we're on our way back up. And then they get dumped again. It's just crime. I don't even know if you don't even call it a Ponzi scheme. It's literally like, hey, buy this coin. What's it good for? Nothing. Cool. Why am I buying it? Because the price will go up forever. Neat. And then it doesn't. And they're like, fuck. Yeah, that's luck. That's investing. No, it's not. It's dipshits getting scammed by people with money.
From the meme coin alone, $636 million. These numbers are
from a scam. He made $636 million scamming while he was president, just off this coin.
So gargantuan that they're almost meaningless to the average American. $1.4 billion is what his total profits were from crypto, and 636 million of it as a result of the pump and dump scheme on his meme coin. His total income last year, $2 billion. It's beyond words for most Americans, beyond comprehension. But it was no accident. And it certainly was no great vision of economic contribution. It was simply self.
Devo. At least he didn't take bribes like the Biden administration. Bitch, where you been? Where the fuck have you been? What are you? Of course he took bribes. You're going to stick around. You're about to find out how many bribes this guy took. By the way, name one bribe that led to Joe Biden making $1. Name one.
Enrichment. It had victims.
I hate that I have to fucking defend Joe Biden all the time. I don't want to. Jesus Christ.
It had costs for everyday Americans. President Trump, who famously once called Bitcoin a scam, has not only used it to enrich himself, he's sold out the American people. He's enriched his family, his sons, his insider friends, his campaign donors, and some of them, for example, Steve Witkoff, is also in the national news and in positions of responsibility.
All right, that's the introduction here. Now I want to get to the people that they brought to testify. First, you may recognize Ben McKenzie. You mostly know him from the OC. And then I think he was on Gotham. He's now a filmmaker. He recently made a documentary, which is really good, about the scam that cryptocurrency is. And we'll have Ben McKenzie first.
Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you, Senator. And thank you to Senator Van Hollen for your attention to these matters. My name, as you said, is Ben McKenzie Shanken. I'm an author and filmmaker. I spent the last several years documenting fraud and other criminal activity in the cryptocurrency industry. It is timely that we are here today, as Congress considers new legislation, the Clarity Act, to regulate the crypto sector. I believe we are at a point of crisis when it comes to crypto's influence over our legislative process. Recent reporting from just last week reveals a foreign company that issues a cryptocurrency used by major criminal organizations appears to have shaped Trump's signature piece of legislation.
Amy said, anyone get their Trump phone yet? I mean, besides a few media folk? I don't know.
The Genius Act, while at the same time forging deep financial relationships with members of the executive branch. When it comes to potential crypto crimes, the call is coming from inside the White House. Some relevant background. In the midst of running for re-election in 2024, Donald Trump suddenly pivoted to embracing cryptocurrency, having previously called it a scam as recently as 2021. At the same time, Trump developed close ties to Howard Lutnick, the then chairman and CEO of
Yes, this is Ryan from the OC.
services firm Cantor Fitzgerald. Lutnick was a major fundraiser for Trump's campaign. According to the New York Times, he donated or raised more than $75 million for groups supporting Mr. Trump in the 2024 cycle.
I wonder if you ever wondered how Lutnick got his position. Lutnick's made an absolute fucking fortune during this administration, just running scam after scam after scam. Literally selling insurance on tariff refunds while he was actively promoting tariffs. It's the scammiest group of people that have ever occupied the executive branch.
When Trump was reelected, he nominated Lutnick to be Secretary of Commerce, an office which he now holds. Lutnick has an extensive financial relationship with the largest crypto company in the world, Tether. Cantor Fitzgerald was then and remains to this day the broker for the offshore.
This guy went from an actor to an anti-crypto advocate. No, this guy went from an actor to correct. That's what he went to. He's not anti-crypto is stupid. He's anti-crime. He's anti-corruption. Crypto is just another vehicle for people to be corrupt. This isn't about cryptocurrency. Reminds me of everybody that I grew up with. It's like anybody who criticizes the Mormon church is anti-Mormon. No. They're pro-truth. Cryptocurrency, and you'll see in the testimony today, is just a vehicle to steal money from people, to hide money, to evade taxes. It is the vehicle for human trafficking. It is the vehicle for drug trafficking. This is the way that crime syndicates have been able to hide their money, which not just for taxes, but it also helps them evade being caught for committing the crimes that they're committing. Every one of these cryptocurrencies are blood currencies. They all have blood on their hands.
Crypto.
And that's a good point. He does have a degree in economics.
Giant. Not only that, but in 2024, Lutnick negotiated a deal that allowed Cantor to purchase a stake in Tether, worth multiple billions of dollars for only $600 million. Tether has issued 184 billion Tether tokens it claims are backed by $184 billion of real money and investments, but to this day, we still don't know if those claims are true. Tether has never been audited, and in 2021, the company paid $61 million to settle claims brought by the New York Attorney General and the CFTC that it misled investors about its reserves. Much has been written about how Tether is used by organized crime all over the world.
Yeah, I'm with you, Sonny. I'm with you.
In a UN report from 2024, it notes that Tether is the, quote, preferred choice for crypto money launderers in Southeast Asia. Tethers have been used for international drug cartels, as well as by terrorist organizations like Hamas. They have been used for sanctions evasion and tax evasion in countries like Russia and Iran. The fact that our current Secretary of Commerce has a financial relationship with a company that issues a product which is an interest let me start over. The fact that our current Secretary of Commerce has a financial relationship with a company that issues a product which is an instrument of crime on a global scale ought to be troubling enough to warrant further investigation. But recent reporting lays out an even more disturbing fact pattern. Last week, Bloomberg released its investigation into how Tether influenced the White House on the Genius Act via Lutnick and Bo Hines, the then 29-year-old former college football player who was...
All right, remember the name Bo Hines, former college football player? Let me read these real quick. It's easy to defend. Everything MAGA says is a fever dream. Dead horses will continue to be beat until morale improves. That's Lumpy Space Tim. I like that name. Laura, thank you for sending in your Antifa dues as well. Appreciate that, guys. Remember, it's almost the end of the month. Get your Antifa dues in if you want to be invited to the Antifa potluck at Antifa headquarters.
Appointed executive director of the President's Council of Advisors on Digital Assets. According to Bloomberg, in late 24, through the following spring, Lutnick and Hines worked behind the scenes to loosen safeguards and shape the law in ways that benefited the world's dominant stablecoin issuer, Tether. What did Tether get out of the Genius Act? Under what is known as the reciprocity loophole, the Genius Act allows for Tether stablecoin to be regulated by El Salvador, as long as the U.S. Treasury Secretary determines the Salvadoran regulatory regime to be comparable to that of the U.S.
I was unaware of this. El Salvador, Bukele, is doing the Tether monitoring for us. We outsourced our own compliance to Bukele in El Salvador. Doesn't that kind of make sense? Some of the deals we've cut with Bukele now, like why was he willing to open up the prisons for us? Man, probably making a fortune.
In the course of my reporting, I have traveled to El Salvador, and I would be happy to answer any questions as to my experience there. But to put it mildly, Tether's relationship to El Salvador's president, Nayib Bukele, is unusual. In addition to the reciprocity provision,
I think I know where the Venezuelan oil money went. Maybe.
Genius Act carves out the DeFi loophole that absolves crypto companies like Tether from any obligation to track their products on secondary markets. This means criminals of all kinds can continue to use Tethers while the company can continue to claim no responsibility. Lastly, the Genius Act contains a 3-year grace period before companies like
DeFi, by the way, DeFi stands for decentralized finance. So it's basically what the blockchain is, and it allows people to lend, like borrow, trade, purchase directly with each other. So we deregulated. We took a currency known for supporting human trafficking, drug trafficking, groups that this administration calls terrorist groups, and we said, you guys get loopholes. We're going to give you exceptions. We're not going to actually regulate you for 3 years, 5 years. And in fact, even when we do regulate you, we're just going to take Bukele's word for it. MAGA got quiet. Hootie? Robert? Anybody? Compare this to something somebody else did. We'll let you what about this if you'd like.
Tether have to comply with U.S. law. According to Bloomberg, some Democrats wanted 18 months, but Hines stepped in.
Yeah, Bubba, this entire thing, the replay of this will be available on YouTube. All the sources I use are available in our Discord, which you can join for free. If you want to join the Discord and get access to these sources, just message one of the mods and they'll get you over to Discord.
And announced that 3 years was
not message, just tag one of them in the chat.
White House's, quote, red line. Where did this red line come from? Was it at the behest of Tether executives? In August 2025, Bo Hines left his position in the administration.
Where did he go? Bo Hines, former college football player, came in, carved out a deregulatory framework for Tether, made it so that they basically could not be investigated. Where did he go after 1 month in the administration? In the chat, guess where he went. I know we're on a 10-second delay. Just guess. Where was his next job? El Salvador? Good guess. More on the nose. Nope, not a country. Let me repeat the question. He came into the administration. He helped carve out deregulation for Tether, and then he left the administration. There you go.
After the bill was signed into law. The very next month, he became the CEO of Tether's U.S. operations.
Yeah. We're gonna be above the law. We're gonna negotiate this. Tether, they're good actors. We're gonna negotiate stipulations so that they are outside of the law. All right, we got that done. Cool. I quit. Where are you going? Tether, where we can operate outside of the law.
The month after that, October 2025, Tether executives made a loan to a trust benefiting Howard Lutnick's children as they were in the process of purchasing their father's.
Oh, here you go, Lutnick. Here's a loan to the trust for your children. Susan, thank you for the $25 over on PayPal.
Business interests. It's worth noting that the Trump family itself has also profited from Tether, albeit indirectly. In December 2024, Tether invested $775 million in the money-losing company Rumble, which runs President Trump's Truth Social platform.
And what happened to the stock of Rumble after they invested? Did it go up? Did Donald Trump benefit from that too? Yeah. Verm said Antifa reflecting pool party entry fee. Thank you. And thank you, Mindy.
We still don't know the exact contours of the financial relationships between President Trump, Secretary Lutnick, Bo Hines, and Tether. But one thing is abundantly clear. The Lutnick family, Bo Hines, and the President of the United States have benefited from their relationships with the shady offshore crypto company. We can't vote on clarity unless we know what happened with the Genius Act.
Becca, yeah, it did. Sorry, I didn't see the message at first. I'm so sorry. It went through a while ago. Becca said, good for those cucks wives. They've at least got you who can do the job because we know MAGA can't. That was so timely, and I fucked that up. Becca, I owe you an apology. I'm sorry. I didn't see the personalized note there.
The American public deserves to know more about their financial ties to Tether. I encourage the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations to pursue that line of inquiry. I thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much.
Now, next up is going to be Lori Flowers. She is a pharmaceutical account executive and a participant in the experienced scam involving cryptocurrency. She is a victim of a cryptocurrency scam and, again, a former pharmaceutical account executive.
Hi, I'm Lori Flowers, and I live in High Point, North Carolina.
And I know she's not Carrie Lake. Sorry. Voice and hairstyle, very close to Carrie Lake, but this is not Carrie Lake.
Happy to be here and appreciate the opportunity to share my story. I was a victim of a crypto-enabled transnational crime in 2022. If my remarks have the intended impact, you'll understand how my scammers needed crypto to succeed, and you'll grasp the consequences that I and other fraud survivors continue to suffer for years after the theft. My scam started on the professional networking site LinkedIn in January 2022. The scammer posed as an engineer from Brussels planning to move to my area and had questions about local COVID vaccination rates. What followed was a nearly six-month period of manipulation and financial grooming. The person, or more accurately, the criminal organization, gained my trust and wove quite a tale with forged documents and spoof phone numbers to ultimately steal $675,000. I was a public school teacher in North Carolina for 5 years, and for the past 25 plus years, I've built a career in the pharmaceutical industry that's allowed me to take care of myself and my family.
Boo.
Sitting here in front of you is the last place I thought I'd ever be. It was
Carrie
not
Lake would have smeared Vaseline on the camera lens before sitting down.
a knee-jerk reaction to liquefy my retirement account. We were in constant communication for 4 months before my scammer brought up the subject of money. Honestly, it's a networks-worthy story, but we don't have time for the gory details. The punchline is I was asked to loan him money for equipment since his investors had pulled out. He needed the money urgently in order to secure the deal. I was assured through made-up contracts and falsified communications with his bank that I would be paid back as soon as he was able to set up his U.S. bank account. He expected that to be within 90 days. The initial funds from my 401k were sent via ACH. Next, my scammer concocted a story about misdirected funds and asked me to recall the wire. There were 2 reasons for that ruse: to create a window for those dollars to get dispersed in amounts that were not worth tracing. And
How do seemingly smart people get scammed? Because people see dollar signs and they think that they have a relationship with people. You know, we're just trusting. We've all been, I think most of us have probably been, not necessarily scammed, but duped by somebody that we cared about. And yeah. Or somebody that you thought was trustworthy, or somebody that you thought had a lot of money. Like, this guy's got a lot of money. Oh, this is an opportunity for me. The other investors fell through. Oh, here's a signed document that says my money's protected. Okay. Yeah, but I'm going to get 10% on this deal. Okay, great.
importantly, to set up the need to use crypto for future transactions. Naturally, he had another emergency. These scams are literally scripted. I was coerced into taking out 2 personal loans, and this time I was instructed to send the proceeds via cryptocurrency. After all, we had so much trouble with the wire. This was calculated. Side note, and also ironic, I was instructed to purchase Tether coins. What a surprise.
What a surprise.
Before the scam, I had never purchased crypto.
Just like Mr. Boots on the ground. Yep.
I wasn't knowledgeable or interested in it, but by all accounts, it appeared to be a safe and practical payment system. There are commercials for exchanges all over network TV. Celebrities endorse it. Crypto platforms have naming rights over stadiums, and there's crypto ATMs at convenience stores all over the country. Even the president is hawking his own meme coin. By the time I was instructed to set up a wallet and initiate the transfer, it only made sense to use the most expeditious way to move money. Crypto is the currency of choice for crooks. It enabled transnational criminals to steal my money in a way that made recovery impossible. It's a friction-free way to drain the bank accounts of U.S. citizens and, interestingly, line the pockets of many members and family members of this administration. It's no wonder the crypto bros are rooting for the Clarity Act. The financial consequences of my crypto-enabled scam continue to be devastating. Sitting here with you as my audience, it would be a missed opportunity if I didn't disclose that I owe income tax on the stolen money due to the elimination of the theft loss deduction in the TCJA.
TCJA. Tax cuts for private jets. Tax cuts for yachts. No tax cut or no tax relief for somebody who's been scammed or had their money stolen. Sorry. It sounds an awful lot like the TCJA was set up for criminals. Isn't that crazy? If you scam somebody and we're going to deregulate the fuck out of it to make it easier to scam, yeah, you're probably going to get away with it. Let's get rid of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Let's defund the IRS. Let's get rid of all these mechanisms we have to stop scammers. But if you get scammed, you're going to have to pay taxes on that money.
Because I did not fall for the right type of scam, I owe taxes, penalties, and interest exceeding more than $200,000. Add that to the personal loans for which I'm responsible, and I was left with no choice but to file for Chapter 13 bankruptcy to meet those obligations. On Friday, I made my 35th out of 60 payments of $5,690. I cannot rebuild my nest egg. The bankruptcy has ruined my credit until 2030, impacted my insurance premiums, even prevented me from co-signing for my son's post-grad apartment. I'm no longer prepared for a medical emergency or a job loss. I'm proud to share my story, though, today and to shed light on how these criminal organizations were able to rob me. To succeed, they needed crypto. In my opinion, there are a lot of things the government can do to protect us from scam-related losses and to provide recourse for victims. Passing the clarity is not one.
Thanks, Alan. That was very kind. Appreciate it.
Of them. We cannot continue to give any of the bad guys the easy button. Thank you.
All right.
Thanks so much.
Next up, we have, and we'll get through this. You can go watch the rest of the hearing after. I just want to get through each of these witnesses. This is John Reed Stark. He's the former chief SEC Office of Internet Enforcement. Like, this is the guy whose job was to make sure at the Securities and Exchange Commission that crimes conducted on the internet were investigated and prosecuted.
Ms. Flowers, and thanks for being here and sharing that story, which I know is difficult for you to recount. Mr. Stark.
Yeah, what's funny is she's one of millions of people scammed. Yeah, and millions of people scammed by our sitting president.
Ranking Member Blumenthal, Senior Member Van Hollen, and Senator Durbin, thank you for the honor of letting me appear before you today. Imagine a Surgeon General who spends his weekends filming cigarette commercials, or a fire marshal who tours the country selling kerosene and space heaters to families living in wooden houses, or a lifeguard who charges swimmers admission to the Riptide. That is precisely what has happened at the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. Paul Atkins, the chair of the agency created amid the wreckage of the crash of 1929 to stand between the investing public and engineered euphoria, has become the loudest promoter of the most dangerous, most demonstrably worthless, and most crime-enabling asset class in the history of American finance.
Let's be clear about what he just said right there. After the stock market crash of 1929, Americans realized that there was a need for investors to be protected. They needed to set rules. You couldn't just be hype monsters. You couldn't just go out there and tell people, oh, stocks will go up forever and ever and ever. And you needed to have, people needed to make accurate claims. They needed to make make promises that they could back up. No longer could we have people saying everything's all fine and dandy and then have the entire economy crash. So we created the SEC. So naturally, whoever's in charge of the SEC should not be from the industry that they're regulating, right? Naturally. And if they are, they better be completely divested. And I'm sure if you went back to 1930 and you were talking to people about who should chair the SEC, I bet not one of them said, let's get somebody from Wall Street. And let's get that person to have ties from Wall Street. And if they happen to take somebody from Wall Street and that person got up and was like, you should invest in the stock market to the moon. It will go up and up and up forever. Certainly the people in America at that point would go, no. You are not the guy. You're supposed to do the opposite. You're supposed to make sure that we can't be duped. Well, the Trump administration brought in Atkins, who is the biggest Cheeto for crypto. Now, crypto's obviously a scam, but even if crypto wasn't a fucking scam, he shouldn't be doing that. He is there to regulate, to make sure that the laws are being followed. He's out there advocating for deregulating one of the most fraudulent industries to ever exist. And they are saying, he makes the argument regularly that the SEC should have no ability to regulate cryptocurrency. He has made the argument publicly, and I think he's reversed course on this now, maybe. But early on, he publicly made the claim that crypto wasn't a securities. It was something else entirely, and so it couldn't be regulated by the SEC. He's just a plant. Everybody in this administration's a plant. Howard Lutnick's a plant. They're all here from these industries, and they all want to scam you. And they all want to scam. And if it's not you, it's somebody else. But they're in this administration for one reason and one reason only, scamming the fuck out of the American people. And their boss is doing it with them. So, of course, they feel protected. Of course, they're not afraid of this. If the boss is doing it, they can do it.
Just ask the question every analyst asks of every asset.
That's better. Thank you. Cheerleadio Cheeto for crypto. Thank you, Becca.
Including the mathematical, computational blather of crypto. What am I buying? Crypto tokens have no cash flow, no yield, no earnings, no employee, no products, no balance sheet, no claim of anything, a boundless data vacuum that makes genuine valuation impossible and leaves only one price support, the arrival of the next buyer. Valuation is a mashup of empty-headed hype, social proof, and FOMO. And Atkins, our chief investor protection officer, has made himself its fiercest pitchman. When the head of the agency built...
And he said Trump tracked down the end of the world, must watch. Okay, I'll look for it.
Police Ponzi schemes, personally tours conferences, podcasts, television studios, and social media promoting a so-called asset class whose returns depend entirely on recruiting later buyers, while gleefully abandoning his mission of investor protection. There is only one title that fits: Chief Ponzi Officer. And his next act is already in rehearsal. The SEC, where I worked for almost 20 years, including 11 years as chief of the Office of Internet Enforcement, last week reshuffled its enforcement leadership. And the forecast is a shiny new era of retail investor protection built on regulation best interests, Reg BI, the rule that prohibits a financial professional from recommending an investment unless it is in the customer's best interest. Yet how could it ever be in a retail customer's best interest to buy an asset with no financial statements, no prospectus, no earnings, no federal audits, no insurance, no recourse when the private key disappears, and the worst loss record of any investment product in modern history? A broker who recommended a conventional security with that profile would be drafting the SEC's complaint against himself. At the SEC, where the enforcement division's hobnail boots of yesteryear once stood, there is now an invisibility cloak. And the SEC abdication of its mission is sold by Atkins using one word: innovation. That is Atkins' signature ruse, his rhetorical statement.
They keep talking about crypto like it's so transformative. And the blockchain is a revolutionary technology. Not really. None of this is innovative. It feels an awful lot like exactly what they're doing in AI right now. They just keep like over-promising. They use the tech code words. Nah, it's all just a scam. I mean this legitimately. All crypto is a Ponzi scheme. That's it. It's one giant Ponzi scheme. And some of them are more protected. Some of them are more insulated than, like, Bitcoin's a more insulated Ponzi scheme than Dogecoin or Trump coin or like fart coin, whatever the fuck you're invested in. But they're all just Ponzi schemes. They require more money in than money out to keep going. If you stop bringing more money in than sending money out, then it falls apart. There's no product. There's no service. It's like, by every definition, it is a Ponzi scheme. So is the US dollar. No, it's not. And that's really fucking stupid. That's really fucking stupid. I'm sorry. Can you explain how the US dollar is a Ponzi scheme? Explain that. Who's investing in the US dollar? What are you talking about? It's a currency backed by the United States government. That's what crypto people say. He's gone to some crypto conferences and they convince all these dipshits it's the same. They might say that about our currency, but isn't all currency the same? Nope. No, it's not all the same. Fart coin is very fucking different than the US dollar. The US dollar is backed by the United States government, and its value is mostly based on use, not investment. Right? The amount of people using the US dollar protects its value. Right? Who's using Trump coin? Who's using fart coin? You can argue almost nobody's using Bitcoin. People occasionally purchase stuff through Bitcoin, but overwhelmingly Bitcoin is just something you hold and try and hope that the value goes up. For the record, all of this, let's look at Bitcoin price chart. $2026. Let's see if this is right. It's going to give me. Oh, let me play this and I'll try and find it.
It is absurd. Atkins has bet the entire SEC on blockchain and tokenization, on Project Crypto, and a fourth industrial revolution of on-chain finance. Yet who is not making that bet? I studied this very carefully. Amazon, Apple, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Oracle. Look at all their 10Ks, all their 10Qs, all their earning calls. Their blockchain spending, just about zero. They don't even mention the word. The innovation Atkins is selling is a technology America's actual innovators examined, have tested, and have buried. Meanwhile, the Clarity Act that Atkins champions would transfer the bulk of crypto oversight from a 4,000-person expert agency like the SEC to a 556-person CFTC that currently operates with a single confirmed commissioner, a chairman who—
Mitch said, tell me how using SWIFT to transfer money globally is better than using a utility coin like XRP to transfer is more secure and in 4 to 5 seconds less than a penny. You're talking about blockchain. I'm not saying blockchain technology has no utility, but you could put any currency on the blockchain, right? You're confusing the currency with the blockchain. The blockchain is what allows you to do that, and XRP is the currency that they're using. But you could do that with any currency. Speed is not tied to cryptocurrency. It's tied to the blockchain. It's tied to quick transfers. Right? You could do that with any currency. Your currency doesn't have to be a fucking Ponzi scheme.
Previously served as counsel to Atkins himself. The act would preempt state blue sky enforcement, hand issuers a self-certification pathway, and consign decentralized finance, whatever that means nowadays, to a supervisory black hole beyond both agencies. The Clarity Act would be—
What do you mean? Sorry, not a coin. It's a cryptocurrency. You're telling me XRP is not a cryptocurrency? You can trade it, but it's not a cryptocurrency?
First major financial legislation in American history enacted to answer darkness with less light, enabling a post-apocalyptic Walking Dead-like cesspool of greed, chicanery, and grift. Crypto's dire externalities are not abstractions. The carnage is not theoretical. Every retiree's savings drained through a crypto ATM parked where the payday lenders used to be is an externality.
Look, Mitch, you can't. Whoever said that, you can't put the dollar on the blockchain, but you can use blockchain to transfer money, right? You absolutely could. A company like XRP could have reserve funds, right? Or you could have an XRP account, similar to you, like in PayPal. Like I can send you money from PayPal in like seconds. It's not like XRP is so much faster than PayPal. Why didn't you use PayPal or Cash App? Or Venmo? Why did you use SWIFT? If your argument is that PayPal, Venmo, Cash App don't allow you to do international transfers, then what you're talking about is deregulating those apps to make it quickly. You're not solving a problem. What you're pointing to is the fact that XRP somehow isn't regulated. Somewhere along the way, they've been able to do things that American companies can't do because they're unregulated. You can already do instant transfers everywhere. You can do wires that are instant. All this technology exists. There's nothing about any of these cryptocurrencies that you couldn't mimic with everything, every bit of technology we have now. The difference is that they're heavily regulated to avoid scams, and crypto isn't, which is why crypto has so many goddamn fucking scams. And your cryptocurrency wouldn't be worth shit if it wasn't used almost exclusively for avoiding taxes and committing crimes. I mean, you guys are smarter than this. You guys actively like walk around the point all the fucking time. Like we don't have a way to instantly transfer money from one place to the other. This is the first time the blockchain makes it possible so that you can transfer money in an instant. No, that technology already fucking exists. It's called the internet. You can already do all this shit. It's just regulated. What you're actually arguing for is DeFi. Decentralized finance, which is used almost exclusively to commit crimes or tax evasion.
Every ransomware payment is an externality. The hospital diverted, the school district locked out of its own files. Because but for crypto, especially Bitcoin, and I'm an expert on ransomware, I tell you this, ransomware would simply not exist, and it's getting exponentially worse every single year. When I sat in a meeting at FBI headquarters with the government's senior cyber officials recently, and I was an instructor at the FBI Academy in-service exam for about 10 years, and I asked how often the FBI recovers a ransomware payment once it is made, the answer came firmly and in one word: never.
Yeah, Mitch, why can't you send trillions of dollars each day on PayPal? Regulation. Regulation, not technology, right, Mitch? Regulation. Listen to the words coming out of my mouth, Mitch. Stop jacking off to your Bitcoin and listen. It's regulation. The reason you can move Bitcoin is because it is deregulated. The reason Bitcoin is worth what it's worth is because people use it to commit crimes. The internet fucking exists. Man, I'm talking to people. I'm talking to somebody in real time in Iceland right now. People are tuning into the show from all over the country. I get a demographics from YouTube and Twitch that show me like where people are tuning in from. The technology exists. You're just hopeful. You crypto bros are all the same. You're pretending something's innovative that isn't. Look at me. I'm driving a schmear. What's a schmear? Well, it's a enclosed capsule that has 4 wheels, and there is a mechanism inside the front that if you put fuel in it, it propels you forward. It's called a schmear. Sounds like a fucking car. Yeah, but I don't have to have seatbelts in this schmear because it's unregulated. Yeah, but isn't it just a fucking car that's unregulated? No, it's totally different. It's a totally different thing because I don't have to have a seatbelt. Why not? Because it's not regulated. Yeah, no shit. Yeah. It's the dumbest fucking, you guys make the dumbest fucking arguments, and you must know that it's a dumb fucking argument. You've just invested too much of your money at this point to admit that you got duped. And so you're like, no, it totally is like a game changer. It totally is. It's way different than like everything else. It's exactly fucking like PayPal, except for it's deregulated. That's it. It's not some magical technology that allows trillions of transfers to go through a day. It's the decentralized financial market. That's it. You're just involved in a scam and you don't want to see it go away because you probably have too much of your money wrapped up in it. That's my guess. And if you've been holding Bitcoin for a while, especially since Trump took office, you know you've gotten fucked hard with Bitcoin prices. Hard. Because most people are waking up and realizing it's a scam, not you guys. Hold on forever. Bitcoin to the moon. It's going to be $1 million. You'll see. Me and my bros sit around and jack each other off and watch crypto graphs. No, dude. You got scammed. It's so easy to see. No, dude, I'm going to close my eyes. Crypto to the moon, baby.
Even worse, crypto has created a sanctions evasion superhighway, and now every sanctioned drone and missile program topped up in stablecoins is an externality. We're sanctioning Iran while deregulating the crypto they use to buy the drones and the weapons that kill American soldiers.
Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terror. How's Hamas getting all that money? Yeah, cryptocurrency. You know why they don't get money through PayPal? Because it's regulated, Mitch. You can't send Hamas money through PayPal or Cash App or Venmo because it's regulated. What's not regulated? Cryptocurrency. So how does Hamas get their money? Cryptocurrency. Yeah, but to the moon, though. To the moon. It's very important. This is a game-changing technology. It's going to change the world forever. No, it's not. It just means that we collect less in taxes and people get scammed, and groups that aren't allowed to collect money, like drug cartels and terrorist organizations and human traffickers, have a vehicle in which to move their money. And you're like, yeah, I'm in it too. To the moon. You don't even know, like, the reason your crypto's worth anything. He just testified to this. The former SEC commissioner just testified to this. If you regulated crypto and you didn't allow terrorist organizations, drug smuggling organizations, human trafficking organizations, tax cheats, if you didn't allow them to use crypto, it would be worthless. Yeah, but it's to the moon. It's going to go to the moon with Elon. Crypto, SpaceX to the moon on with Elon. With Tesla. This is so stupid. Be better, man. I know that you got sold on it. I know that you're losing money. I know that you desperately need all of us to believe in it so you can recoup the money that you got scammed. But bitch, we're not that dumb. Get out while you can.
That's like stepping into the UFC octagon and handing your opponent brass knuckles between rounds. The stark reality is this, and it cannot be overstated. Paul Atkins tours the crypto circuit like a raving big crypto sycophant, force-feeding investors his Atkins diet of crypto laissez-faire, all while
That's good
reveling
news. It's low carb. I didn't know crypto was low carb.
in his role as America's first chief Ponzi officer. It's time to stop the hustle. Thank you.
Yeah, facts, Nuclear Dolphins. He's the bag holder. Mitch is the bag holder. He's the sucker, still cheerleading it. I went on Reddit today. You know who I love? I love Wall Street Bets. It's so fucking awesome. Unusual Wells is my porn. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. How much are you down, brother? Mitch, how much have you lost in Bitcoin this year? He's going to say none. He's lying. How much have you lost in cryptocurrency this year, Mitch? Be honest with us. Don't lie and say nothing. You guys have all been decimated today. And if you anybody in here that's like, I'm doing well on crypto, bullshit. You wouldn't be talking about it. You wouldn't be here right now if you were doing well in crypto, because the only people doing well in crypto are the insider traders, and they're not going to come to my show and be like, oh, you got to go crypto to the moon. Tell us the truth, Mitch. How much have you lost this year in crypto? Maybe not Bitcoin. How much have you lost in crypto this year, Mitch? Be honest. Nobody's going to believe you when you say you made money. We all know you've lost it.
Thank you, Mr. Stark.
All right, next up here is this is Virginia Cantor. She's the Chief Counsel for Ethics and Anti-Corruption at Democracy Defenders Action.
Ms. Cantor.
Ranking Member Blumenthal, Senator Van Hollen, Senator Durbin. Thank you for convening this hearing and for the opportunity to testify on President Trump's crypto ventures and the ethics requirements that should accompany any digital asset market structure legislation that could regulate those interests. My name is Virginia Cantor, and I am the Chief Counsel for Ethics and Anti-Corruption at Democracy Defenders Action, an organization dedicated to fighting corruption.
I have made over $20,000 because I invest in coins that do utility. No, you're lying. Nobody believes you. You made $20,000 investing in what? Stable coins? What'd you invest in? Mitch, tell us what you invested in. Give me one of your wins. I time the markets perfectly. I know that if you look up my investments, it's going to look like all of these investments have dropped dramatically, but I time it so well. Yeah, bullshit, dude. What do you need us all to buy into to recoup your losses, Mitch? What's the coin you need us to buy into so that you can get out of this?
Defending the rule of law and securing free and fair elections. Last week, Senate Republicans and the White House released ethics provisions in the latest version of the Clarity Act. Unfortunately, the proposed language is fundamentally flawed as it fails to fully address the president's massive financial interests and conflicts of interest. As you've indicated, President Trump just reported receiving $1.4 billion in crypto revenue last year, and he has built a portfolio of crypto ventures valued.
Guys, I just want you to see, make sure. Just so you know, Mitch wants you to believe that with this chart, he's made $20,000. He's so much smarter than everybody else. Look how good Mitch does compared to fucking everybody else. For sure, Mitch.
I bought the dip. I've been studying the candles. There's a pattern here. I always buy the dip.
This is XRP. For sure, Mitch. Everybody here believes you, for sure. For sure. Everybody got fucked, but not Mitch. Mitch is here on this pretty mediocre live stream telling us all how rich he is. Sure you did, bud.
Valued at as high as $7 billion. Entities backed by the Emirati royal family have directed roughly $2.5 billion to the president's crypto ventures, most prominently through an investment in Binance, which was settled in the USD1 stablecoin. That deal is expected to generate roughly $80 million a year for the president's company. These conflicts of interest have no precedent in the history of the presidency. And remember, the framers were so concerned with Benjamin Franklin accepting a snuff box from Louis XVI that they wrote the Foreign Emoluments Clause into our Constitution.
Oh, how much? Was that $1 billion snuff box Karen said to help save Jen's eyelids?
What would they be thinking today? Meanwhile, investors in the Trump-affiliated enterprises have incurred tremendous financial losses. Nearly
Mitch, I clearly know what I'm talking about, and you clearly are lying. How could you talk about something you know little and nothing about? I can't know little and nothing. If I know little, then I don't know nothing. But obviously, I know what I'm talking about, right? Like I predicted what you would say. I'm fact checking you right now. And the only way, like, what are you talking about, dude? The only way you possibly could have made 20 grand over the course of the last year trading XRP is by doing literally exactly what I just said, buying the dips and then selling when they peak. You know, we're talking about you making money. Tell me what XRP is. No, tell me how you made money. Tell me I was wrong. The only way you would make money with XRP is if you were buying those dips, right?
1 million owners of the Trump meme coin are reported to have collectively lost $3.8 billion. And owners of World Liberty Financial's governance token are reported to have suffered $674 million in estimated losses. Against this backdrop, the proposed language is woefully deficient. It does not prohibit covered officials, including the president, from owning, buying, or selling digital assets. It leaves licensing fees, revenue sharing arrangement, transaction fees, and royalties for name, image, and likeness untouched. These are the major channels through which the president and his family currently receive crypto income. It creates the proverbial fox guarding the henhouse dynamic by allowing officials who are responsible.
This is like letting Bernie Madoff, like, hey, Bernie, are you running a Ponzi scheme? No. All right. Hey, we're going to look into that. No. All right, we won't look into it.
For designing and overseeing the industry's regulatory framework to own and profit from the very products that framework will apply to. As a result, it makes it easy for corrupt actors and foreign governments to abuse the crypto ecosystem to buy influence. As for the issuance and sponsorship prohibitions that the ethics title does create, they are full of loopholes and safe harbors. The issuance prohibition would seem to have little impact on the president since he's not directly involved in issuing any digital assets, and it only applies to the initial offer of a specific asset for consideration. Nor does President Trump appear to legally...
Mitch, tell us how banks aren't robbing us. Yeah, just admit that I was right then, Mitch, before you move on to compare it to banks. See, this is what I told you that they would do this. Remember I told you this is what cryptocurrency bros do? You ask them to explain it, like why it's different, how it's better, and they're just like, well, banks, the banks are regulated. There's something called the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that used to be in existence until Donald Trump came and dismantled it. But it used to be that if the banks robbed you, you could go to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and you could get that money back. They claw back billions of dollars all the time. And the banks, because it's not decentralized finance, because it's centralized, and because we have oversight, and because we have regulation, there are things like FDIC insurance that protect my account up to $250,000. When I put that money in the bank, I know that if that bank turns around and fucks me in the ass, I'm protected, and the federal government insures $250,000 of that. Now, does XRP have FDIC insurance? What happens if suddenly the XRP, you show up one day and you show up to your crypto wallet, wherever you're storing it, what if it's gone? Now, I know XRP tells you oh, we're different. We don't allow mining. We're very structured. We're safer. And it's true, XRP is safer than a lot of these other coins. But what happens one day when it's poof, gone? Who are you going to call? Nobody. Fucking nobody, because they're not going to get it back for you. I have a friend who lost $2 million in cryptocurrency twice. He lost $2 million twice. He never got it back. There wasn't a goddamn thing he could do about it. A bank is a better place for me to put my money. And again, once again, you ask me what XRP is. It's just a digital asset, right? Or a cryptocurrency. And they use the XRP ledger, which is just the technology used to transfer money almost instantaneously, which already fucking exists with Cash App and Venmo and PayPal. What's the difference? Regulation. Do I need to explain this 50 more fucking times before you get it, Mitch? The difference between what you do and what they do is government regulation and protection. That's the difference. You are in the wild, wild west where your shit can get ripped off at any time and you have nobody to go to. And my money is protected at least in many instances by FDIC insurance.
Exercise control
That's
of-
the difference, Mitch. That's the last time I should have to explain that to you. I think it's pretty clear from everybody here, even the crypto holders here, that I know more about this than you do.
For any person who sells these assets. The provision would not require him to relinquish revenue streams from which the Trump family-linked firms have made hundreds of millions of dollars, while everyday investors have lost billions. Other Trump-specific loopholes undermine the sponsorship prohibition, including a meme coin dinner exemption, which would allow him to appear at an event organized by an issuer of a digital asset. Nor is he barred from generally promoting digital assets.
That's fucking crazy. The president can just do a pump and dump scheme. He can just do it. He can just scam people. That's fucking crazy. It used to be that you could get no money from president except for outside of your salary. You couldn't get a snuff tin. You couldn't get elephant tusks. Now you could just like run crypto scams apparently.
Meaning President Trump could continue to pump up the value of his meme coin or World Liberty financial token by sponsoring events at Mar-a-Lago for his investors. The bill does create certain safe harbors. One of them permits companies to continue using the official's name, image, and likeness so long as the official divests any direct interest. But the definition of direct interest invites restructuring through shell entities or trusts that would still return the income to the official. A second safe harbor exempts the official from third-party actions if the official did not authorize or exercise control over it or coordinate with a third party.
All right, Mitch, let's talk about regulations then. We'll do this. She's doing a great job. Let's talk about regulations. Mitch, let's say that you and I both have $100,000 and I put my $100,000 in a savings account at a bank. And let's say I have a great bank and I'm getting 3% interest, okay? Let's just say that my APR is 3%. I put $100,000 in on January 1st. Well, let's see. What's today? July 28th. I put it in July 28th of last year. And let's say that you bought $100,000 worth of XRP on July 28th of last year. Which one of us has more money now? Because you said you hold it, right? Which one of us has more money or more value? Me. My value grew. I got 3%. What'd you get? Yours is at least cut in half. At least. No protection there. I got a guaranteed rate of return. And it was FDIC insured. My bank went under, I was covered. You lost half your value. So what you're asking for is for these, and so you're like, well, I want regulation. I want XRP to be regulated. Cool. So then what's the difference between you and PayPal at that point? What differentiates XRP and PayPal? Nothing, right? Except for that you just have a different ledger, different way to move. In fact, even PayPal isn't their own bank. PayPal has to use a real bank. Venmo has to use a real bank to transfer to hold the money. Not you. You've got a volatile currency that requires other people to believe in it in order for your money to maintain value. I don't need any of that. My bank can transfer money. My bank could, if my bank wants to innovate, they can create a way for me to transfer money instantaneously, or they can contract with somebody like Zelle or PayPal or Cash App, right? But I'm protected. If you and I put that $100,000 in the same in where I want it and where you want it, I would have more money. You would have significantly less. And now you're asking for regulation that would make your product obsolete. Nobody would give a fuck about XRP, right? Because the regulation is what keeps people away, or I guess what keeps people in crypto is that it's deregulated and it keeps them away from traditional banks. That's the difference.
Most troubling of all is even if there was a violation of the proposed law, the enforcement provisions provide little or no recourse. The bill grants exclusive enforcement authority to the Department of Justice and explicitly prohibits independent enforcement by state attorney generals. But it goes a step further. It prohibits regular people who lose money from suing officials who willfully violate the law.
Crypto's like fantasy football for dudes who don't like sports. Yeah, it's gambling.
Even more troubling, the ethics provision sunset on the last day of the Trump administration. Given that the provisions don't even come into effect for a year after the date of passage of the Clarity Act, it means that if there were law enforcement, it would have about a year in which to uncover, investigate, and file a lawsuit to enforce violation. Finally, the sunset provision provides that no person shall be subject to any penalty, forfeiture, or liability for conduct that occurs on or before the sunset date. This unprecedented provision essentially nullifies any attempt to enforce the act as soon as Trump.
All right. So how do we explain this, MAGA? It's not a scam, but the way they wrote the legislation means that any crimes committed before the sunset, which is like when this goes into place, like you basically can commit crimes until this point. And this is the grift. Donald Trump, all these crypto people recognize, oh shit, regulation is coming. They went to Donald Trump, people with all the money, and they're like, hey, dude, we know that the regulation is coming. We'll help you make a bunch of money, but you've got to help us with the legislation. We need to get our money. We need to get super fucking rich before this is obsolete. And make no doubt about it, like regulation is going to destroy almost all cryptocurrency. It's all just going to go away. Bitcoin and Ethereum might stick around. We'll see. So they wrote into the bill that like, hey, we're going to regulate, but not yet. We're going to do it a year down the road. And you're protected. Any of the things that you do that fall under our regulation that you do up until the sunset date, like you're going to be covered. You're not going to be invested. After that, then it's a crime. That's why Trump's running 2 crypto pump and dump schemes. That's why he's taking bribes through World Liberty Financial, because he can right now. And the Republicans are doing everything in their power not to do something good for you, for me, for anybody else. They're doing everything in their power to protect Donald Trump and his crypto investors so they can get one more year of just bilking money out of people like Mitch. They just want to be able to fuck people over for just like one more year. Let us get one more year of this. It's been so nice. It's so easy. And then after that, the regulation will come and everything will collapse. And we're not going to hear from the crypto bros ever again. Because nobody's going to be excited about crypto anymore. The same way that nobody's excited. Like, hey, bro, you want to talk about PayPal? I do not. Can you imagine if you had a friend that every day was like, bro, you see what PayPal's doing? No, I did not see what PayPal was doing. I had no idea what PayPal's doing. It's only like this because it's a casino. House always wins. Who's the house? The wealthy. Donald Trump became the house. Ironically enough, it'll be the first time Trump has a casino that works out.
President Trump leaves office. I just want to conclude by reiterating the 3 policy red lines that Congress must not cross if you truly want to create a strong and clear market structure that is regulated and enforced by neutral arbiters. First, divestment of all financial interests in digital assets by officials, spouses, and dependent children of the crypto interests. In addition, adult children should be prohibited from using their connections, information, and proximity to power to advance any digital asset, venture, or enterprise. Second, Congress should require all senior officials to report every digital asset transaction and holding from any source. President Trump thus far has not reported a single crypto transaction. Third, independent enforcement to ensure prohibitions are actually enforced as opposed by Trump's hand-picked attorney general. We need Congress to empower state attorney generals to enforce the prohibitions and for injured parties to have a private right of action. Thank you, and I welcome your questions.
Thanks so much.
What book should I read, Mitch? What book should I read? Nobody watching this, Mitch, feels like you're making good arguments. You've completely abandoned any argument, and now you're just like, yeah, but you don't know. You were real confident earlier that I didn't know anything. I've answered all your questions. Right? Read a book. What book should I read? What book did Elon write? Can you guys even write books? Like, what crypto bro book do you want me to read? All right. One last one, and then we'll get out of here. We'll go a little over today. This was the last person to testify is Scott Graytack. He's the Deputy Executive Director of Transparency International, United States. And thank you guys for sticking around for this. I know crypto is not everybody's favorite topic, but I love it.
Mr. Graytack.
Senator Blumenthal, Senator Van Hollen.
What question didn't I answer, Mitch? I'll look for it. My bad if I missed a question, but go ahead.
Senator Durbin, members of the subcommittee, thank you again for convening this conversation today and for inviting me to speak with you. Lori, I also just want to say I'm sorry to hear the story about what happened to you. And your voice here matters, and I intend to help make sure that it matters. My name is Scott Graytack. I'm an anti-corruption attorney, and I work as the Deputy Executive Director for Transparency International, U.S. We're the U.S. chapter of the world's oldest and largest global coalition fighting against corruption, with national chapters in over 110 countries. And for more than 3 decades, Transparency International has documented what happens around the world when public officials blur the line between public service and private gain. And across countries and political systems, the trend is actually remarkably consistent. Corruption rarely becomes normalized all at once. Instead, it happens one toleration at a time. One conflict of interest is tolerated because confronting it is politically challenging. One loophole is tolerated because lawmakers tell themselves it's better than nothing. And one official is tolerated.
Let me look at that actually.
As a special case. And then the next official points to that example. The conduct becomes easier to defend, harder to challenge, and eventually just accepted as part of the system. And once that line moves, rebuilding it is far harder than holding it in the first place. And that is why this moment matters. This conversation isn't and needn't.
Tell me what an EFT is and why every stock company is buying into them. If you have a 401k, you have money in crypto. It's an electronic funds transfer, or is that what you're talking about? Are you asking me why investment bankers are investing in them? To make money. They make money on commission. They're popular. Investment bankers don't make, they make money by how much they manage. So yeah, they want every product in the world. You know what those same people did? Those same people were out like hawking housing bonds when it was clear that the housing market was about to explode. They were selling these crazy insurance contracts on housing bonds. If it's not good, then why is Wall Street? Yeah, good argument. Yeah, BlackRock, Bitcoin. Yeah, why is BlackRock doing it? BlackRock has all the money, dude. BlackRock has all the money. They're going to ride it. Guess who's going to be the first ones out? They are. Guess who's going to be left holding the bag? You. You're going to be the last one holding the bag. They can manipulate that. They can manipulate these markets like crazy. They have so much money. They can manipulate all of this. They're controlling it. Why are they invested in Bitcoin? Because they saw that there was no regulation and they have unlimited supply of money in which to manipulate the cryptocurrency markets. It's way easier for them to manipulate those markets than the stock market. Why do you think they're in it? Yeah, they're in it because they know. They're just smart. They know it's the future. No. They will abandon it too, just like everybody else. They're just making money off of the people that are investing. And Bitcoin became this massive thing. Cryptocurrency became this massive thing. And so they're like, we got to get in on it. Remember, the same people that are investing in it now used to say that it was a scam. Why did they say it was a scam? Because it was taking away money from them. It was taking away from their ability to manage money and collect a fee. And then eventually they saw all this money over there that they weren't collecting a fee on. And they're like, I better get into that. So then they lobbied Congress to change the rules so that they could invest in cryptocurrency. Congress changed the rules for them. And now they're out here manipulating cryptocurrency. You don't think it's ironic that once they got in, the price of Bitcoin and basically every all of the top 10 cryptocurrencies skyrocketed in price when they did that? You don't think that's ironic at all? No, they saw a market that they can manipulate and take control of. That's a bad argument. Well, Wall Street's doing it. It must be good. Yeah, for sure, dude. Wall Street never fucks over the American people.
Be about cryptocurrency being inherently good or bad. It is about what happens when a president and his family make extraordinary amounts of money from an industry at the same time that president's administration shapes, implements, and enforces the rules that will determine that industry's value. That conflict is concrete. It is ongoing. And
I know, Mitch, I've explained this. This is the last time I have to explain this to you. You want regulation, which will make all the things you invest in obsolete. I get what you're saying. I'm arguing that what you're investing in now is dog shit, and it's a scam. If it was regulated, it wouldn't be a scam, but it also wouldn't exist. It would just go away. You're unironically arguing for for the entire system to be regulated, which will make it go away. There's nothing great about any of these companies that anybody else can't do. Again, you're talking about XRP, which just allows you to quickly transfer money. There's other companies that allow you to quickly transfer money. And the only difference between XRP and them is regulation. So you can send more money to more places. You think if it's regulated, XRP is still going to be allowed? Like you're just going to be able to send your money to Tunisia in 3 seconds? No, of course not. No, it'll be regulated just like everything else. And then why will anybody use XRP? They won't. Because there's not that many people using it in compared to PayPal or Cash App or Venmo. And then it probably won't be FDIC insured. So it'll just go away.
Unprecedented in scale. And it means that unless the Clarity Act includes comprehensive and enforceable ethics rules,
Mitch, I'm done with you for now. We're going to focus on this.
Forward, every major decision by the federal government affecting this industry will be accompanied by the same question. Is this good policy, or is it just good for the president's bottom line? And maybe every individual decision can be defended on its own, but that's not really the point. The point is that the American people should never have to ask. Conflict of interest rules don't exist because every conflict proves a bribe. Conflict of interest rules exist because public officials should never force the public to wonder whether private profit influenced public power.
Oh, that's money. And I wish, MAGA, you would get on board with this. MAGA consistently tells us all the time when we point out that Donald Trump is using his office to get billions of dollars, and they say, prove the bribe. We shouldn't have to. That's the whole point. That's the entire point. It's such a great fucking point there. That's why they exist. The mere fact that Donald Trump is making money, even if it was totally above board, should be illegal, is illegal. It's supposed to be covered by the emoluments clause. Donald Trump's businesses have received billions of dollars in investment for countries that he has given exemptions to. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if there is a direct quid pro quo. It's in violation of the foreign emoluments clause. But because he runs the DOJ and because the Republicans in Congress are in charge of everything, they're just not doing a goddamn thing about it. The same people who spent 4 years trying to prove that Joe Biden took money and they found $0 and 0 cents are actively ignoring $2.6 billion in profits that we know of. Not that we're guessing about, that we fucking know of.
We don't need to wait for some secret recording to surface. We don't need to wait for some email to show up that said this payment was made in exchange for that decision. We should prevent the conflict before it takes its toll. The United States has spent decades urging other countries to strengthen their anti-corruption laws and to separate public authority from private enrichment.
I mean, that's what Ukraine was. That's why Trump got impeached. There was this whole thing about Ukraine being corrupt, and the United States is like, you need to straighten up, Ukraine. Be more like us. Donald Trump's like, nah, duh, I got to be more like Ukraine. Dolphin said, I learn from every topic you provide. The education, rants, and insults are priceless, even when the topic infuriates me. I still want to know what's going on in this crazy-ass timeline. Appreciate you and Jen so much. Have a good rest of your day. Thank you, Dolphin.
And if you take anything away from my testimony to you today, please let it be this. Our credibility abroad depends on what we allow here at home. Audiences around the world are watching. A lot of foreign leaders, in particular, are watching. If the United States establishes that its public officials can profit from industries affected by their decisions, that lesson isn't going to stop at our borders. It's going to be cited, it's going to be copied, and it's going to be used to justify conduct around the world. To that end, Congress is deciding much more than the fate of one bill with the Clarity Act. It's deciding what standard the United States is going to model for the rest of the world. The president's financial disclosure has made this conflict impossible to ignore. The remaining question is whether Congress is going to confront that conflict or write it into law. So until the Clarity Act includes comprehensive and enforceable ethics rules, my organization urges every member of Congress to vote no on moving it forward. The principle at stake here is simple. You can either govern a market or you can profit from it, but you cannot do both. Thank you.
Mitch, give me an example then. You said we can either regulate like others are doing or just fall behind. Give me an example of another country who has the same type of regulations on cryptocurrency as they do with their banks. And then follow up, because I do know that those countries exist. The follow up is, how well are the cryptocurrency companies doing there? How many crypto holders do they have there? You know this if you've researched it. Every country who has regulated crypto in the same way as the banks, basically nobody uses crypto there anymore. You know that. I think you're just trying to protect you had this idea that it was going to be this massive thing. You invested a lot of your money in it. You are lying about your profits, which I guarantee you can't show 20,000 in profits. If you can, I'll black out all the information. I'll eat crow. I'll show it on here and be like, he's actually great at trading. And if you are great at trading, good for you. But it doesn't change the fact that almost everybody else lost money, and you're just like, you're making money off of everybody else losing, because that's how it works. But yeah. I also agree with you, though, Mitch. For the record, I do think we should regulate crypto. And if you guys want to use XRP and you want to sell it as this revolutionary technology, be my guest. But do it after it's regulated, right? And maybe I'll be wrong about that. Maybe XRP will be cool enough, or maybe they'll have something innovative enough that maybe, like, if it was something that I thought was better than using PayPal or Zelle or whatever, like, I would use it. In fact, if it was a thing that a lot of people had, we'd probably have up on our donations here using XRP. It's not that I'm like, I hate XRP. It just doesn't make sense to me. I don't think it'll stick around. I don't think that there's enough people using it in a way where regulation wouldn't drive them away. But again, that part I could be wrong about. The other stuff I'm right about. The prediction, we'll see. We'll see what happens when they regulate. Maybe some of these, maybe there's more people who like XRP over Cash App, and maybe their interface and their ledger system works so much better that it'll run those people out of business. And then good for them, happy for them. But not until it's regulated. All right, Jen, did I miss any comments?
No, I think we got them all.
Okay, let me double check here one more time as well. Okay, I think I got them on my end. All right, everybody. We'll be back tomorrow morning and every morning, 9:30 a.m. to 1 Pacific Standard Time, right here, wherever you're watching. Just a reminder, we do have paid memberships available on YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok, and that gets you into our members-only events, which are every other Wednesday night in the Discord. We've been watching Life, Larry, and the Pursuit of Unhappiness, which is fucking hilarious. We have a good time hanging out there. It also just, if you want to support us and not show up for those events, that's fine as well. That just creates kind of a baseline for us, so we know what to expect and what we can and cannot do each and every month. So I appreciate all you guys who have donated, and all of you who pay for memberships every month. It's greatly appreciated. For the new people that came in today, I hope you come back again. I hope you share this with your friends. We are growing, and that's really exciting, and I appreciate all the kind words and the mean words and all the words in general, because every time you type words, it increases our engagement. Today, before you go outside to touch grass, think about your life. And think about how much better it's going to be when you touch that grass. If you can't touch grass, if there's no grass around you to touch, perhaps you might try smoking grass. If you can't touch grass or smoke grass, I don't know what to tell you. Come up with something different. When you go outside, make sure you go outside with boots on. And before you stand up with those boots on, make sure you reach down, grab those boot straps, and pull yourself up by the bootstraps, and then get those boots on the ground and do something useful. Before you go outside, though, look in the mirror, say something nice about yourself, and drink a ton of water. Take some water with you. It's hot as shit out there. Make sure that those that you come in contact with have a good interaction with you. Love yourself, love your friends, love your families. And until I see you tomorrow morning, bright and early, 9:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, take care of yourselves. Stay cute and cool, and have a great, great summer.